Weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum braucht er was zum Essen, bitte sehr. Es macht ihn ein Geschwätz nicht satt, das schafft kein Essen her.
Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, wo der Platz genossen ist, weil ich ein Jahr weiter einheimst kommt, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum hat der Stiefel im Gesicht nicht gern. Er will unter sich keinen Sklaven sehen und über sich keinen Herrn.
Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, wo dein Platz genossen ist, weil ich ein Jahr weiter einheimst kommt, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Und weil der Prolet ein Prolet ist, drum wird ihn kein anderer befreien. Es kann die Befreiung der Arbeiter nur das Werk der Arbeiter sein.
Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, und ein Platz genossen ist, weil ich ein Jahr weiter einheimst kommt, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Здравствуйте, comrades. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. Socialism Saturday is where we watch the real far left, the radical revolutionary socialists that are currently pushing every crazy idea in the world today. Happy Thursday! Is it Thursday? Did I miss everything? Have I just been pretending it's Saturday all day? It kind of feels like I've been pretending it's Saturday all day, if I'm honest about it. Renan says it's Friday. Who knows what day it is? I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. Pretty sure. Gosh. Anyway, what we do on Socialism Saturday is we watch the real radical revolutionary socialists who are pushing every crazy idea in the world today. If you want to know who's pushing critical race theory into schools, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who's pushing gender ideology, social emotional learning into schools, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who is attacking parental rights, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who's chanting to abolish the police, defund the police, yeah, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. And if you want to know who has been behind all of the college protests and who are trying to induce a summer of love all across the United States, another rousing electoral year of riots and protesting and nonsense and shenanigans, it is the people that we watch on Socialism Saturday. In short, guys, we do Socialism Saturday every Saturday at 6 p.m. on YouTube, on X, on Rumble, because we want to know what's coming next. And the people who show up to my streams know more about what is going on with the far left than anyone in the country. In fact, it is not uncommon that we will learn something on a stream and then 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, sometimes years after the fact, when we watch something on a stream and we're like, oh, this is what the left is doing and here's how they're doing it. Isn't it funny when 3 months, 6 months, a year later, we all of a sudden see right-leaning influencers finally catch up to what we already knew was going to happen. We knew the college protests were going to happen because they were talking about it back in 2022. Literally, they weren't talking about it with Palestine specifically, but they literally were talking about doing these strategies back in 2022. We have them on video. It's all very clear. We knew all this stuff was coming. It was just a matter of what? We are literally in the future. when we are on Socialism Saturday. Well, no, we're just the only people who actually listen and pay attention to what the real far left says and does. Everyone else is reading about libs and TikTok. That's all right. Anyway, tonight for Socialism Saturday, we are going to visit something that has kind of been on my list for a minute. We are going to be watching a session from the People's Conference for Palestine. Now, this is on one of my favorite lefty YouTube channels as of late, because honestly, they're doing actually pretty great coverage of the campus protests. They have live streams a lot of places. And actually, we watched these guys last week too for Socialism Saturday, because they were in Minneapolis covering the BLM stuff, filming leftist stuff that never made it to the news on right-leaning media at all. And that's breakthrough news. And so if you want to keep up with, like, I mean, this is real boots on the ground activist stuff. That's who these people talk to. And so if you want to keep up, I definitely recommend following Breakthrough News. It's a great resource for actual primary source video about what's going on in protests, what's going on in the encampments, what's going on at like all their meetings and all their stuff like that. So we've been watching these guys a lot today, or the past couple weeks. And there was a People's Conference for Palestine that took place about a week ago. It looks like it was where was it? I don't even know exactly where it was, but there were a ton of sessions. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all these beautiful sessions from the People's Conference for Palestine. They've got keynotes. They've got the war on Palestine, Palestinian resistance and the path to liberation. Every time the media lies. So every time, this took place in Detroit, Kristen. Thank you for that. They have a session every time the media lies. So they're training people how to respond to the media when the media is shilling blatant propaganda. Wouldn't it be nice if the right did this? That would be pretty great. The movement for Palestine in North America, Zionism and U.S. imperialism. We're going to get to that one in a second. How movements achieve transformation. I bet that's a pretty good session. And look at some of the views they're getting on these guys. Listen, a lot of the stuff we watch on Socialism Saturday, it has maybe a handful of views. They're getting over 10,000 views on a lot of these things. So this is something that a lot of people are paying attention to. And I think we're going to be able to get some great learnings for tonight, because we're going to be watching the session, The Student Intifada, Zionism Off Our Campus. In April, students across North America took the Solidarity movement by storm. Over 100 encampments erupted in a matter of days, lifting the movement to new heights and setting the example of commitment to the struggle. The demands of the encampments revealed the deep linkages between ruling class institutions. That means colleges and universities. And if you watch my content, you know that these students do want to tear down the colleges and universities, because the anarcho-communist literature literally tells us that the colleges and universities are the breeding ground of capitalism, and they've capitulated to capitalism. And so the students are very open about the fact that they want to tear down the universities. We've seen them say it on video. So when they say ruling class institutions, that's going to mean the universities. And the Israeli settler state. Again, if you've been watching my content, you know that Israel is considered to be a settler colonist. Colonization means the oppression of indigenous land under the oppressive force of capitalism. So again, that's also about capitalism. They don't actually care that Israelis are Jews. They care that Israelis are capitalist. And the popular universities exposed the hypocrisies of higher education in the imperial core. Imperialism means the highest form of capitalism. The brutal suppression that followed is only a demonstration of the pressure of the student movement was able to exert over the ruling class. This session will engage student organizers from across the world in a discussion of the strategies and tactics of the student intifada, the lessons learned, and the future of the student movement against genocide and a liberated Palestine. Now, I want to take just a moment to talk about the word intifada. Because if you watch conservative-leaning media, and quite frankly, leftist-leaning, basically if you watch any media, if you listen to any of the congressional hearings, you might think that intifada means anti-Semitic in some way. It's an anti-Semitic term here's the story. Intifada is an anti-Semitic term that's calling for the eradication of the Jews. That is what the media is saying. That's what people in Congress are saying. That's not how they're defining it. That's not how they're defining it in any way, shape, or form. Does anyone know what intifada means when you're speaking the language of socialists? Pop quiz for the chat. What do socialists mean when they say Intifada? Let's see those chats come in, guys. And in the meantime, please do mount the like button for me. I would really appreciate it. What do socialists mean when they say Intifada? They mean worldwide socialist revolution. Intifada means international socialist uprising. Worldwide socialist revolution. Yeah, what Reagan said. Exactly. The struggle. They mean the worldwide revolution against capitalism. They mean the socialist revolution. That's what they mean. We are not free until everyone is free. Exactly. Exactly. This is why Queers for Palestine is a thing, because everyone is in the same great struggle, revolution against capitalism. And the Palestinians are not free until the queers are free, and the queers are not free until the Palestinians are free, because everyone is under the same struggle, which is the struggle against capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership. That's what we're talking about. And just so we're clear about that, you can see that I'm not making shit up. I just want to watch this quick video. And this is a discussion that I had with two leaders in the Revolutionary Communists of America not too long ago. This was at the end of April, actually around the same time as the encampments were breaking out. And so I had two members of the Revolutionary Communists of America on my channel for Socialism Saturday, where they literally told us what Intifada means. And so I just want to play that real quick, just so people know that every time I'm defining a word, I'm not saying that's what I believe. I'm saying that's what socialists believe. I'm saying that's what leftists believe. That's how they define the word. And every single time I'm saying something, it's not just because I'm making shit up. It's because I've literally heard them say it from their own mouth. Let's learn what Intifada means according to real live communists.
But if you're respectful at that meeting, of course, nobody's going to kick you out. You know, just
cool. Fair enough. Well, I'll look forward to that.
But I warn you, being surrounded by hundreds of communists, you might just get convinced. You know, you might pick up a copy. You might pick up the latest copy of the communist newspaper and read through it and decide that you actually are in favor of a worldwide intifada, by which we mean a worldwide socialist revolution that would lay the foundations for communism for our kids and our grandkids.
See, it's amazing what happens when you actually just let the far left talk and you listen to what they're saying, not to own the libs, not to do this clout chasing bullshit that people do on Twitter, but you actually listen to what they're saying. They say the quiet part out loud. They tell you exactly what they mean. Just one more time, just for people in the back. Maybe you didn't hear.
But if you're respectful at that copy of the communist newspaper and read through it and decide that you actually are in favor of a worldwide intifada, by which we mean a worldwide socialist revolution that would lay the foundations for communism for our kids and our grandkids.
I mean, can it get more explicit than that? And yeah, Maldi, yeah, I was indeed holding back a little bit of a laugh because, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to have the communists on my channel is I just wanted to let them talk. Tell us what you believe, communists. Listen, I'm not in the business of like twisting these people's beliefs and distorting these people's beliefs and like making stuff up because I think it's going to get me clicks on the internet. I literally just want the communists to come and tell me what they think. And it's amazing what happens when you just let them talk. They tell you what they think and they tell you how they're defining words. And so thank you, communists. We appreciate your service. Exactly. All right. So we know what Intifada means. And we are going to be watching a presentation tonight from the People's Conference for Palestine titled The Student Intifada. And so we're going to see what they have planned. And I do believe that this is an event where they probably will be saying the quiet part out loud quite a bit. That's what we're doing tonight, folks. I do have a couple orders of business to get out of the way before we get started. First off, I want to say hello to Tariff over on Rumble. Tariff says, "Greetings, comrades. Just here to boost Rumble numbers while I pay bills. Yay, capitalism." Yeah, guys, as a reminder, I do stream on YouTube and X and Rumble Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. And of course, we're at Saturday at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday because my weekend too. I got other stuff to do before it. So I hope you guys, please make sure you're subscribed to my Rumble channel, by the way. Even if you only watch me on YouTube, just in case, please make sure you are subscribed to me over on Rumble. I'm just rumble.com/Carlin. So now's a good time to go make sure you're subscribed over there. I'll even put the I will even put the link in the YouTube chat, because why not? Hang on. Just make sure you're subscribed. Mount the like button over on Rumble. I do appreciate it. Mount the like button over here as well. There we go. There's that link. Couple other orders of business before we get started. Number one, the very best way to support the work I'm doing and to keep me in business is by becoming a supporter over on my Substack. That is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. My Substack is, I've been taking a little bit of a breather from Substack this week, honestly, just because it's been a crazy week. So I apologize for the lack of posts on Substack. It's just been a really weird couple of weeks, okay? So I do have a bunch of podcasts I'm recording to release on the Substack. I'm releasing another episode of the Inner Circle podcast, in which we're going to be talking about gender accelerationism. We're going to be talking about a lot of queer anarcho-communist literature over in the Inner Circle podcast. The Inner Circle podcast is my subscriber-only podcast over on the Substack. So you can find that, again, heading over there, $8 a month, $80 a year. You get a special podcast link that you can put in your podcast player of choice, whether that be Apple or Spotify or whatever, that will give you access to the full premium podcast, which I think is actually pretty cool. Also, you get access to the supporter Discord. We do lots of stuff in the supporter Discord. We got Allison and Gayla and Bot are doing the zine project. We've got Human Centipede, or Stony Baloney over on Twitter, is creating an archive for us of some crazy anarcho-communist zines and communiques and stuff like that. We also do movie night. We also do writers group in the supporter Discord. Sin and LK on Thursday nights lead a writers group for creatives to help people with their writing. Literal books have been produced out of my supporter Discord, which I think is pretty cool. We also do movie nights on Sundays in the supporter Discord. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be watching the classic Superman, because it is Blockbuster month. And so Jennifer has a whole bunch of blockbuster movies that we're going to watch. Jennifer is, of course, the host of movie night. We love her. She does a great job. We listen to music related to the movie. We talk about movie trivia, behind the scenes stuff like that. It's a really great kind of way to let down your hair at the end of a long week. We will be doing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the supporter Discord. And the only way to get access to that is by heading over to my Substack and signing up for $8 a month, $80 a year, and you will get a newsletter tomorrow with a link to join the supporter Discord. And of course, you will be supporting the work I'm doing, which I cannot do without you. I'm completely 100% grassroots funded by you, and so I really appreciate it. Another thing you can do to support the work I'm doing, and this is important. Well, it's not important. It's only important if you want cool stuff, okay? You can head over to the Unwoke Art store, unwokeart.com, and pick up some sweet, unique merch that you are not going to find anywhere else, except on the occasion that the Chinese rip off my merch, which does happen. But you don't want crappy Chinese merch. You want the original from the source, where it comes from. That's what you're going to find in my Unwoke Art store. And for today only, I extended it one day, and this is it. There are no more extensions, okay? I have pinned the promo code to the top of the chat on YouTube, and this is only available for another 5 hours and 40 minutes until midnight tonight, Eastern Time. If you buy over $100 worth of merch in the Unwoke Art store, you can use the discount code REDMAY, REDMAY, to get 25% off your entire order. That's because tomorrow I'm officially cleaning out the merch store, okay? We're going to be swapping out some designs. We're going to get a new Unwoke Wiki Plague Doctor design. We're going to be changing stuff up, because I've got way too much stuff in my merch store. I really stocked up over for Christmas, and then I have way too much stuff in the store now because I never took it all out of the store. We're cleaning house. We're not getting rid of everything, okay? There's going to be a lot of cool stuff still in there. The zine t-shirts are still going to be in there. Real Marxism, Socialists Are Gay, The 4 Goals of the Woke Left. We're still going to keep some of the staple designs, but there's a lot of stuff in there that is going to get cleaned out. So now's the time to go through the store and to get all the merch that you want, because some of it's going to be going away. And you can, if you spend over $100 or more of merch, you will get 25% off using the promo code REDMAY. Honest Dog Allison just ordered some zine tees, guys. The zine tees are so fucking cool. Honestly, this is some of the coolest merch that I have. Like, and I have to thank Honest Dog Allison because she's the one that's actually creating the designs for this merch. But look, you can get like a queer theory, political ideology. Queer is not about being gay or trans to be queer. It's just about like becoming kind of like a walking billboard to teach people about this stuff. I love this one, the Animal Farm one. Some animals are more equal than others. Those are Lenin's eyes over the pig. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Lenin here, and it says they must be annihilated. It's so effing cool, guys. Come on. This is a non-binary t-shirt. And by the way, these QR codes really do work. If someone were to scan that QR code on that piece of merch, that's going to take them to a Substack article where I'm explaining explicitly what non-binary is and why so many people are non-binary all of a sudden. So that's just some of the stuff you can get in the Unwoke Art Store. And of course, just launched in honor of Trump becoming a convicted felon. I had to do a special limited edition merch run. So this is a limited edition Trump American Gangster design with the orange steel mugshot. And you can get this on t-shirts. You can get it on not just a black t-shirt, but how about on an orange t-shirt? I mean, come on. That's actually pretty cool. You can get on Oxblood Black, you can get it on Navy, and because people have been asking me to do lighter t-shirts, I don't like wearing lighter t-shirts, but you guys have been asking me to do a lighter option for t-shirts because some of you have animals and you like wearing lighter clothes. Okay, fine. You've even got your lighter t-shirt for the Trump American Gangster, but the big thing, the big news with the Trump American Gangster design is the golden mug. We reserve the golden mug for special opportunities. The original golden Trump mug is one of the all-time best-selling items in my store. And I know many people here have their golden Trump mug. And now you can get the follow-up Trump American Gangster mug. And the letters are actually in gold. On the t-shirt design, they're white, but on the mug, they're gold. These designs are only going to be in the store for 2 weeks. So you can, if you get them by midnight tonight, you can lump it in with the 25% off discount code because that applies to literally everything in the store. But the new golden Trump mug is only going to be in the store for 2 weeks. So you can pick up the American Gangster design while you're over there. So perfect timing, perfect timing. Alex bought 3 of those mugs so he can give them as gifts. Guys, I don't mean to pat my own back, but like, I know that people give away my merch as gifts and people love that. They loved those golden Trump mugs are such a big hit. I can't even tell you. People love that stuff. So I really do appreciate it, Alex. Thank you. Speaking of Alex, thank you for being a member of the channel for 4 months. Hi, James. He's talking to James Lindsay. I hope you're lurking in the background. I only hope one day you will admit the truth and work with Carlin instead of against her. Buy some merch and wear it on your next live stream. Should we send James Lindsay a t-shirt? Should we send, you know what t-shirt we should send to James? We should send James the Socialists Always Lie t-shirt. Hang on. Socialists Always Lie. This is the t-shirt we should send to James because it was funny. Several months after I made this t-shirt, and I've sold a bunch of these t-shirts, and people say this all the time, like Socialists Always Lie. It became a tagline on my channel. It was funny that James started saying, Marxists always lie, Marxists always lie, Marxists always lie, Marxists always lie. And I was like, James, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that, James? Where'd you get that? I mean, it's true. It's just a statement of fact. I just thought it was funny that after I was already selling merch, literally saying socialists always lie, all of a sudden, Jimmy comes around and starts saying Marxists always lie in response to every tweet months after I started making this merch. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Anyway, you can get the Socialists Always Lie t-shirt in the Unwoke Art Store, and I will tell you that t-shirt's not going anywhere. But if you want 25% off it, use the promo code REDMAY, REDMAY, at the checkout with $100 or more worth of merch tonight, and you'll be able to get it at a discount. So that's what we've got there. And that's it. That's it. Let's get into our video. Is everyone ready for our video? Let's get this party started. Please make sure. Oh, is there anyone new? Is there anyone new for Socialism Saturday tonight? Listen, okay, so we always have to do a little preface for Socialism Saturday. We are watching real radical revolutionary socialists. These are the farthest left people that you are going to find in the country, okay? And so if you're new to watching socialism with us, it might feel a little overwhelming. You might feel as though you don't understand what they're saying. You might feel like you're listening to word salad. If you don't understand what they're saying, that's normal. It's not you, it's them. What's going on is they are speaking a different language. I know that people might look at these and how this is being portrayed in the media. Data 12 over on Rumble is new. Welcome to Data 12. I understand how the college protesters are being portrayed in the media is that they're anti-Semitic, they're anti-Israel, they're Jew haters, all of that. None of that is true. They're socialists. They're far left radical revolutionary socialists. And what that means is they are going to be speaking a very specific type of English that I have called socialist. That's why if you go over to my Substack, carlin.substack.com, you will see a 4-hour class right on the beginning of the page, How to Speak Socialist, your 4-hour crash course, where I'm just playing clip over and over and over again, massive amounts of clips from their trainings so that you can hear their language. It only sounds like word salad if you don't know how to speak their language. Once you learn how to speak their language, you will understand everything that they're saying, and you will know that it is far worse than you think it is, okay? One of the reasons we do this is that we want to be able to identify when we're talking to socialists in real life, when socialism shows up in real life, and when you learn how to speak the language of socialist, you will all of a sudden start to see it everywhere. It is scary. It is overwhelming. But it's the truth. And that's what we have to hinge into, guys. You cannot solve a problem if you do not understand your enemy. If you're just running around watching clickbait content going, they're all insane, they're all libtards. They're not insane. They're not mentally ill. They're actually highly effective, and that's why they're winning. And that's why we need to make sure we understand what they're talking about and understand what they're saying. Now, some of you might get really angry when you first start hearing what they're saying, and you're like, these people are crazy, and you're going to want to try to debunk what they're saying, because a lot of the things that socialists say and a lot of things that socialists believe are crazy. But I need everyone to rein it in, okay? We are not here to debunk them. The reason that we don't waste time debunking them is that every minute that we waste debunking them, first of all, it doesn't actually do anything. Debunking them does nothing to solve the problem. It just makes you feel good, but it does nothing to actually solve the problem. It's also about every time you spend energy debunking them, that is energy that you could be spending understanding them. And again, that is our goal. Just because you listen to someone and just because you understand what they're saying does not mean that you have to agree with them. It just means that you listen to them and understand what they're saying. And I want to encourage everyone that's new to make sure you're asking questions. If you don't understand what a word means, if something is confusing, if something that I say is confusing to you, say, Carlin, slow down. I'm new. What the holy hell are you saying? We will stop and we will explain it to you. People in my chat will explain it to you, and we will all help each other learn, okay? This is not just about, well, you are in my class, but a lot of people in the chat have been watching socialism with me for years now, and they can explain it just as well as I can, all right? Aaron says, do they have anything that approximates a secret handshake or like gang signs? And actually, yeah, SB knows this. Socialists have tattoos on their arms. Now, you're going to say, Carlin, you have a tattoo. Okay, I don't have a socialist tattoo, okay? I have a beautiful, professionally done, beautiful color universe tattoo. You are never going to see this tattoo on a socialist. What socialists do is they have these bad black and white tattoos that are line tattoos that look like they were done in prison. And they have a whole bunch of these random bad black tattoos all over their arm. We call them socialist tattoos. There isn't a specific design that they have, but it's just like kind of a mishmash of like bad socialist tattoos. Of course, you can always tell when someone is presenting as queer, looking queer. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule, right? Because a lot of people see how I look and how I wear my hair and the fact that I have tattoos, and they go, "You're queer." And I'm like, I'm really not. I promise I'm really not. But oftentimes, like, people who are presenting as queer will purposefully go against normative beauty standards. They have mullets. Yeah, I actually have an article. Actually, I have an article on my page right now about this. If you go over to carlin.substack.com, right on the homepage, what socialist tattoos and a socialist hair color looks like. That's it. That's it right there. So that is actually a socialist haircut. A bunch of them at their events, they do have haircuts like that. Not everyone, but also this is why you learn to speak the language, guys, because it's not just about how they look in the world. It's not just about like how they show up. Once you learn how to speak the language, you will be able to identify, regardless of how someone looks, are they a socialist or are they not? And I want to thank Xylacon, who is Alex, for now becoming a monthly supporter over on Rumble. Hey, Alex, I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. But great question. Yup, armpit hair. Yup, a lot of them do not shave their armpits, do not shave their legs. Now, that's not necessarily like a guarantee that people who don't like women who don't shave their armpits or their legs are going to be socialists. Some women just don't. It's just the way it goes. But it's kind of like a whole mise en scène, right? So if you see someone with socialist tattoos and a socialist mullet and they don't have their armpits shaved and they're talking like a socialist, chances are they are a socialist. Exactly. Listen, Brian, I used to have a nose ring. All right. I did. I used to have a nose ring. I used to have this eyebrow pierced. I have industrial piercings in my ears. My lobes are stretched. I know you guys can't see because I'm wearing headphones, but my earlobes are actually stretched. Like, not everyone who has a nose ring is socialist, okay? Anyway. All right, guys, let's get this party started. And again, please keep those questions coming. Lastly, remember, you are in a class right now. You are in a class to learn how to speak socialist. It's not that we don't have fun in our chat, but I do request that people be respectful. I have 2 rules in my chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. Do not insult me. Do not insult other people in the chat. I can do whatever I want because you are in my class. If you don't like my tone, if you don't like my attitude, if you don't like the way I'm teaching, you can leave. You just get up and leave. You don't have to announce your departure. You don't have to cause problems. You don't have to do any of that. You can literally just go and watch something else. I'm sure there's plenty of other things on the internet. So number 1, don't be a dick. Don't be disruptive in my chat. Number 2, no whining. If I ask you to stop doing something, just stop doing it. It's really not a personal thing. I don't know who any of you are. Well, I know some of you personally, but like most of you, I don't know who you are. So I'm not making a personal attack on you. If I ask you to stop doing something, it's because you're being disruptive to what the learning experience is. And our number 1 goal here is to learn. It's not just to own the libs. It's not just to shitpost, not do any of that. We are in class right now. So while we do have fun and you're allowed to joke around, we also do take this seriously, okay? So don't be a dick, no whining, anything other than that, and we will get along just fine. All right, let's see what happens. We are watching the Student Intifada, Zionism off our campuses from the People's Conference for Palestine.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 3rd day. We're going to start with some chants. We need some energy. I need some energy. So,
pop quiz for the chat. Why do they often start socialist conferences with chants of some sort? Why do you think? And I will be drinking Little Willow Brewing Company Fruits of Labor. This is perfect. Fruits of Labor for Socialism Saturday. Pineapple and passion fruit sour ale. Well, that's not actually useful at all in any way. So why do they start their conferences with chants? Because of solidarity. because of solidarity. Because remember, socialists are collectivists. They are not individualists. They are collectivists. And therefore, any opportunity they have to make someone feel as though they are part of the collective group, they're going to do that. So if they're all going, free, free Palestine, and they're all chanting in unison, that is the collective. No one is an individual within the bounds of the collective. It also does brainwash them. Kelly's right about that. It affirms their collectivism, collective unity. It is very tribal, isn't it, Honest Dog Allison? Solidarity. Exactly. Listen, this is now your second warning. I literally just got done saying the rules of the chat. Do not be a dick and no whining. This is not useful. I am asking you not to do this because the fact of the matter is that you, anonymous asshole in the chat, see, I can be a dick to whoever I want because you're in my house. You are losing to them, and you are losing very badly to them. And so if your only contribution is to come in here and say, they're brain dead, I'm going to ban you. If you have nothing useful to add, go watch content that is far dumber than this. You can go over to the Daily Wire. They'll pander to you and they'll serve you brain dead content, and you can go over there. But you're not going to do it here. Last warning, I'm not fucking around. Let's see. Back to the chants. Gets everyone in tune with each other. It's a it's a gesture of cultish unity. It reinforces the propaganda. Solidarity as the collective. Exactly. I have a feeling I'm going to be banning the guy I just told to cut the shit. I think you chatted this in while I was admonishing you. Last chance. You chat in one more thing. Guys, and this is a lesson. If this is all you have to contribute, you do not have a high enough IQ to be here. Just full stop. You need to have an IQ of at least a 100 in order to understand my content. Anyway, let's keep going.
Do free Palestine. 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 Who is the revolution? No. We are the revolution. Okay? No worries. We'll do it again. Hey, cut the tape. Who is the revolution? Who is the revolution?
What is the revolution against? As a reminder, pop quiz for the chat. What is the revolution against?
Who is the revolution? Who is the revolution? Biden, you will see. We are all SJP.
SJP is Students for Justice in Palestine. Students for Justice in Palestine is the national organization that has been involved in coordinating some of these things. The revolution is against capitalism. It's against capitalism. Nope. This is conservative bullshit propaganda. They very rarely say Western society. Their revolution is against capitalism. If you believe, and I'm not trying to make this against you, like I understand why people believe this is conservative bullshit propaganda. The revolution is only against capitalism. It is always against capitalism. It is perpetually against capitalism. That is what the revolution is against, okay? Oppressive capitalism. Capitalism, of course, is defined as a private property ownership. It is against capitalism. Private property. And I just want to point out, too, they don't like Joe Biden. These are not Democrats. No matter how many times conservatives say that Democrats are socialists, real socialists hate Democrats. Real socialists also hate progressives. That includes AOC, that includes Bernie Sanders. They don't consider AOC and Bernie Sanders to be real socialists. They consider them to be too close to capitalism. Yep, they called Joe Biden Genocide Joe. NYNCA over on Rumble says the purpose is to destroy the idea of the individual and help man remember mankind as a species, like belonging to a beehive, almost like a hive mind. Exactly.
Biden, Biden, you will see. We are all SJP. Biden, Biden, you will see. We are all SJP. Fight the power, turn the tide. Rise up for Palestine. Fight the power, turn the tide. Rise up for Palestine. Fight the power, turn the tide. Rise up for Palestine. Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva Intifada! Viva, viva Intifada! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
I just want to point out there are people wearing masks at their events. Now, only a couple people wearing masks at this event, which is interesting, right? But there are still people wearing masks at this event. So, like, there are a lot of reasons that socialists wear masks. Most people think it's purely to mask their identity, which with the campus protests, that was one of the reasons they were wearing masks, because the students didn't want the university to be able to identify them. Of course they did anyway, but usually the reason that socialists wear masks is because they really do believe the pandemic is still a thing. They're not pretending. They actually do believe that COVID is still a thing, and they believe it's part of their responsibility to collectively care for each other. Exactly. Socialists believe that COVID is real, and they are collectively caring for each other as part of their obligation to the collective to wear masks.
علي 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 علم الثورة علي 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 علم الثورة علي 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 علم الثورة علي وعلي يا بلادي علي علي يا بلادي علي الموت ولا المذلة الموت ولا المذلة ثورة ثورة على المحتل ثورة ثورة على المحتل.
I remember saying early on in the Columbia encampment that every day the students were getting more and more Muslim. And now they're literally chanting in Arabic. But it's like, it's part of the like, even the students at Columbia that were like totally white, rich, like liberals, they still got progressively more Muslim through the course of the encampment. And like, it's all part of the assimilation to the collective.
غير الثورة ما في حال غير الثورة ما في حال ومن المياه للمياه فلسطين عربية ومن المياه للمياه فلسطين عربية. Long live Hens Hall! Long live Hens Hall! Every fascist state.
Hens Hall was the building that they decolonized at Columbia. Who's assimilating who? They're all assimilating into the far left collective. Listen, guys, don't be confused by the fact that they're focusing on Palestine. The issue could be anything. We thought for a long time, before October 7th, we thought for a long time that the issue was going to be they were going to try to stage the murder of a trans person and then break out in riots before that, because that's usually what their issue is. Trans people are considered to be the most oppressed of all in society. And so that really looked like it was going to be the major issue for 2024. But then October 7th happened and they all shifted gears like a collective. Now, that's not to say there are not people who have been in the Palestinian freedom movement for a while, because that's true. That does exist. That's a real thing. But by and large, the left shifted their entire perspective from trans queer to Palestine. So don't be confused by the fact that it's kind of wrapped up in Muslim garb. And I know that a lot of people on the right just hate Muslims more than like anything. They hate Muslims almost as much as they hate the gays. No offense, but like, don't focus on that. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution, and they will take advantage of whatever issue they can in order to advance the revolution.
It will fall. Every fascist state will fall. Long live Hins Hall. Every fascist state will fall.
I want to make another point about the Hins Hall thing. No. Do not bring this basic bitch conservative bullshit stuff into my chat for Socialism Saturday. We are better than basic conservative excuses. They're not grifting. Their cause is always the revolution. It is always and perpetually the revolution. And that's what they've been saying the entire time. So no, these are not grifters. These are true believers. Let me get this super chat real quick. I haven't watched it yet, but was wondering, did Heidi do a good job in her stream with Pearl the other day? Heidi did a great job. Heidi and Pearl are now best friends. They're probably going to start a forbidden lesbian internet romance at any point. I want to make another point about this Hins Hall stuff. So Hins Hall was the building that got decolonized on Columbia's campus. After that building got, and by decolonized, they basically took it over and they barricaded the door and they took some hostages and all this stuff. So after that happened, the very next day, the cops moved in and basically got rid of the Columbia encampment and all that stuff. By the way, everyone knows, right? The Columbia encampment's back now. They just set up the Columbia encampment again like yesterday. And so the whole police raid that was supposed to solve everything and make the entire problem go away, yeah, the encampment's back now. But the point I want to make is this. People are like, don't these students know that they're going to get arrested and they're going to get expelled from school and like all this stuff? And like, why are they taking over a building if they just know that they're going to call the police? Because it's not about that. It's about creating a symbol. It's about doing something symbolic that will live on beyond them. Now, by the way, the students that are organizing this protest, they don't care whether or not they get expelled because they're going to be set up as heroes on the social justice left for the rest of their lives. They're going to write books about this. They're going to do lecture circuits about this. Like, they are now the rising like leaders on the far left because they were involved in that. And that's more important to them than whether or not they got a piece of paper from Columbia. But the bigger issue is, why would they just take over this hall? Like, they know that police are going to get called in and they're just going to get arrested. Yes, they do know that. It's about creating a symbol. It's about creating an iconic moment that will inspire others, that is so much bigger than them, that lives beyond them. The right doesn't think about these things. The right is just like, well, I don't want to get arrested, so I'm just going to keep quiet and I'm going to go home and I just don't want to cause any problems and I don't want to get in trouble, and so I'm just going to be quiet. And the right is afraid to leave their house wearing a goddamn Trump hat. The left takes over entire fucking buildings even though they know they're going to get arrested, because it creates an iconic symbol that will live on beyond them. And do you guys see how this is playing out now? It wasn't just about that one building. They never thought they were going to be able to hold that one building. They created a moment in history that will inspire probably millions of other far-left activists. Do you guys see how this works? Yup, it's a badge of honor. They became martyrs. And they were trying to get the police to shoot them, by the way. They were trying to create another Kent State. This makes them a hero. To take over a building, to decolonize it, which means remove the oppressive force of capitalism, they're heroes.
All right, let's switch up the beat. Let's switch up the beat. I'm just disclose, divest. We will not disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest.
Well, I mean, this chant is another thing. Look at how much stuff we're seeing. Bro, none of that bullshit here. We don't bring James Lindsay's fantasy here. This has nothing to do with Gnostic anything. You probably don't even understand what Gnostic means. Get that shit out of here. But look what we're learning in just the chants, right? Another thing you'll hear on right-leaning conservative media is the students don't even know what they want. They don't even know why they're protesting. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. They know what they want. They have, when socialists stage protests like this, they always and perpetually have a list of demands. Always. And their list of demands is disclose how much money you're giving to Israel and divest from Israel. They literally made it into a chant. Disclose, divest. We will not stop, we will not rest. They made a fucking chant out of it. Don't tell me that the college students don't know what they want. They know very clearly what they want. They know it so clearly that everyone in the room is chanting it. Maybe this is a problem that right-leaning media doesn't understand what disclose, divest means, but that's really the fault of right-leaning media. They're very clear about what they want. And in some cases, they have actually been successful.
Go! Okay. And so,
Space Jack is saying something smart now, so we're going to congratulate him for that. Just keep that James Lindsay bullshit out of here. This is like a rock show. This seems like something people want to be involved with. This is exciting. This is exhilarating. This is fun. Listen, man. I said when the encampments were going on, I was like, shit, I want to go there. Not that I agree with them. I mean, I'm actually on their side on the Palestine issue. I'm not on Israel's side. I'm on the Palestinian side. But that's not because I'm a Marxist. That's just because I don't like genocide. But like, these things are fun to go to. Even if you're going to get in trouble, even if you're breaking the law, even if like it's a little dangerous, all of this stuff is incredibly fun to go to. Even when I've been undercover at socialist events. Like, I had a good time, even though I was terrified they were going to figure out who I was, and I had to wear my disguise, and I had to wear a chest binder, all this shit. But, like, they're fun to go to. You want to be involved. Do the conservatives do anything like this? No. Yeah, Tariff over on Rumble says, I've been in multi-level sales meetings. This behavior occurs there as well. Yeah. Like those types of meetings, the where they're teaching you how to sell stuff. I've been in those meetings too. Incredibly fun. You feel good as a part. You feel like a group. You feel like you can accomplish anything. Your body's moving around. You got energy. They use these tactics in church. Exactly. Same thing. Mega churches use this. This is how you create culture. You have to create something that people want to be a part of, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel exhilarated, right?
And so, who is the revolution? We are the revolution. 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 Who is the revolution? We are the revolution.
I mean, a lot of people both on Rumble and on YouTube are talking about how this is cult programming, and it certainly is cult programming, but an idea that I would offer you guys is our society is full of cults. We're surrounded by cults. MAGA is a cult. These guys are a cult. The queer Marxists are a cult. There are smaller cults within the cults that are for the more elite groups. Churches are cults. The military is a cult. Society is filled with these cults where you are in the group and you're doing things as part of the group. And there are rules to the group that only in-group members understand, right? And I think that it would be beneficial for people to acknowledge that is just a thing. Is that, like, which cult is better at attracting people? Which cult is better at retaining people? Which cult is better at getting people to do stuff? Donald Trump raised over $50 million in like a day because Donald Trump has a highly effective cult. He raised over $50 million after he got found. Like, that is a next level cult. And I'm not saying that to shit on Donald Trump, because I gave him $47 to get one of those black MAGA hats. That hat is awesome. Like, I can't wait to get my black I wasn't even going to get Donald Trump any money. And then Donald Trump was like, what if I offered you a black MAGA hat? And I was like, sold, Trump. I want my black MAGA hat too. But like, yeah, Trump exactly. Trump has been so successful because he is the only person on the right that understands this concept. And he was like, okay, this is working for the left. Yoink. I'm going to do it too. And I think that that's how we need to, like, listen, I literally call my show The Cult. I literally have a cult on my channel. I am trying to create an underground cult of people that are in a real way fighting back against these people by trying to attract more people to our underground cult, because we have more fun doing this stuff than anyone else on the internet. We have the coolest merch, the coolest swag. We're like, it's just like a fun place to be. We make music, we make art, we do all this stuff. My cult might be small right now, but my cult is growing, and I want more people in my cult. And I have no problem with that, because I feel like I'm using my cult as a force of good in society, whereas other people are using their cult as a force of evil. So we're all in cults. It's just a matter of being in the ones that are actually not going to be completely destructive to everything we believe in.
Up with liberation! Up with liberation! Down with occupation! Down with occupation! Up with liberation! Up with liberation! Down with occupation! Down with occupation! One solution!
Yeah! Yeah.
One.
Isn't it fun to be part of my cult? Because in my cult, not only do you get to understand more about communism than anyone on the right does, Not only do you get to predict the future because we know what the left is doing better than anyone on the right does, we actually oftentimes know more about what the left believes than communists do. There have been communists I've talked to that have no idea about queer Marxism at all. Or they're like, those aren't real Marxists, or like, whatever. We know more about the left than even members of the left do. That's fucking cool.
Solution. One solution. One solution. One solution. One solution. One solution. One solution.
One solution revolution. We're learning so much just from the chants. One solution revolution. What do they mean when they say that? One solution revolution. What are they referring to? And why is it the one solution? Some might say the final solution. Okay, we're not going to go that far. One solution revolution. Are they saying kill all the Jews? And that's their one solution? Because I'm led to believe that these are a bunch of Jew haters based on conservative media. Is that what they're saying? Are they saying kill all the Jews? No, they're not. They're saying the one solution revolution is to overthrow capitalism. This is the basis. Again, guys, this is the basis for Queers for Palestine. People don't understand what Queers for Palestine means. It means we are all oppressed under the oppressive force of capitalism. And I'm sorry, you are literally retarded and listening to too much conservative media if you think they hate the Jews. Literally retarded. When they say one solution revolution, they mean to rid the world of capitalism. They mean communism. They mean the abolition of capitalism. They want to usher in the utopia. The solution is socialism. Abolish capitalism because capitalism causes all the problems. They believe that all of the problems that the Palestinians are experiencing are the result of capitalism, are the result of colonization, imperialism. Imperialism, according to Lenin, is the highest form of capitalism. Colonization means taking indigenous land away from the indigenous and privatizing it under the oppressive force of capitalism. Decolonization means removing the oppressive force of capitalism and giving it back to the indigenous people. Ushering in the socialist utopia after abolishing capitalism. Only socialist revolution from capitalism is a success. We are all oppressed if any of us are oppressed under capitalism. And they have been saying this since day one. Exactly. They've been saying this since day one of the college protests. And yet, for some reason, all over the media, we're still hearing that these are just a bunch of Jew-hating anti-Semites. They're not. I'm very sorry to disappoint you if that's what you were hoping for. They're not. They want a revolution against capitalism, and they want the land returned to the Palestinians. That is what the revolution is. And the reason the far left is on the side of the Palestinians in this is because in this scenario, Israel are the settler colonists, they are the bourgeois, they are the oppressors, they are the capitalists. The Palestinians are the oppressed. Socialist revolution. Carlin, did you see Planned Parenthood is being funded by Raytheon and starting to get heat for it? I did see that. I didn't look too far into it, but I did see it, and I do want to look into that a little bit more. Thank you for posting about that, Human Centipede. Yup, there are absolutely socialist Jews. 100%. There are absolutely Jewish people in this audience. Jewish Voices for Peace is a far left organization. I think we're gonna watch his is there something going on specifically at Evergreen right now? I want to go back and watch his whole documentary. I was thinking about doing it next week.
Revolution! What's up, y'all?
Finally.
That's how we start.
Okay, hang on. We got to bring Data 12 up to speed. Okay, Data 12 over on Rumble is asking, and they're new, so we're like, as a reminder, guys, if you're new, please ask all the questions and I will be happy to explain. Data 12 over on Rumble, welcome. Why do they want to abolish capitalism? Kind of a very basic question, and I appreciate being asked it. The far left wants to abolish capitalism, which they define as private property ownership, because they believe that capitalism creates every single problem in society. Every problem, from crime to racial disparities to gender inequity, the patriarchy, to homophobia, to endless wars, to the climate change stuff. Literally every problem that you can name, they believe it's created by capitalism. What do they mean when they say capitalism or private property ownership? They want to take away your ability to own a home, to own land, to own a business, to own apartment rentals that you rent out as a landlord. The squatters' rights thing is an attack on capitalism, because they're trying to basically negate private property ownership with squatters' rights. They want to take away your ability to own intellectual property. And here are the important two. They want to take away your parental rights. They believe that parental rights are a form of private property under capitalism. And they want to take away your individual liberties, your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion. They believe that individual liberties are a form of private property under capitalism. So they believe that if we get rid of all these things, we will create an equitable society. Every time you see equity popping up, anytime you see an equity department at your kid's school, that is a reference to Marxism, because basically equity and capitalism cannot exist in the same place at the same time. Equity means getting rid of all privately owned property, the big stuff. They're not talking about like your cell phone or your computer or your car, stuff like that. They're talking about the big stuff: home ownership, land ownership, business ownership, parental rights, individual liberties. If we get rid of all of that, everything belongs to the collective. What that means, according to the left, everyone has access to all the resources that everyone else has. Say this another way: we are all equally poor. No one can be rich under equity, and we are all equally poor. They are the ones who will decide what products get produced. They are the ones that will control the energy sector. They are the ones who control food production, etc., etc. That's what they want. And they believe that if we just get rid of the capitalist U.S. government, and anytime they say fascist, they really mean capitalist. If they get rid of the capitalist U.S. government, the fascist U.S. government, and they replace it with socialism, and they control all of the private property, they believe they will basically solve every problem in society. That's a too long didn't read. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's your overview.
Let them know that we're a fighting movement. We get hit and we hit back. You know, one of the proudest moments of my life for the student movement is when Congress issued a resolution condemning the student movement. You remember that? That was one of the proudest moments for the student movement.
Hey, thanks, Data 12, for the Rumble rant for $5. Control. Yes, Data 12, that's exactly right. They want to control everything. If no one owns private property, houses, land, businesses, kids, that means the collective owns everything. And if the collective owns everything, they control us. Exactly.
U.S. empire, the destroyers of democracies all over the globe, the orchestrators of coups condemn the student movement. That's a badge of honor. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you all about what to expect today. And then we're gonna play one video and we'll get started with our plenary. So first, the announcement. Y'all are fortunate to be in this room to hear this announcement. But y'all saw Sanat Dhaka yesterday, and she's going to be graciously participating in an extra session today. It'll be at 5 p.m. In the main ballroom, so join us here. But please also attend the other sessions, as they're all important. But Senate has graciously agreed to speak, or offered to speak, really, about Walid and the experience of Palestinian prisoners and literature within prison. So we're really excited for that. So I think we're now going to play a video from Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Corbyn? Really?
Welcome to the People's Conference for Palestine. Jeremy Corbyn speaking here from our Peace and Justice Project offices in London. Wonderful you're having this conference. You've got a fantastic array of speakers and a fantastic number of organizations supporting it. That is absolutely brilliant. The Palestinian people are going through hell.
I appreciate
and indeed have been going through hell for a very long time. 34,000 and more already dead in Gaza, including 11,000 children. Attacks by settlers in the West Bank and the continued long-term horror story of those that are refugees in neighboring countries and all around the world. The solidarity with the people of Palestine is quite incredible all around the world. The student movement in the United States, across Europe, and on campuses here is fantastic. I've been visiting a number of the camps that have been held in universities here.
Jeremy Corbyn ran for Prime Minister in the UK a couple years ago.
Here in London. And so our message is that we campaign on all fronts. The solidarity of people in often very difficult circumstances is quite amazing. Jewish people in Israel that have spoken out in favor of Palestinian people are getting a very hard time. They need our support and our solidarity. People all over the world speaking out need our support and solidarity. But it's working. The International Court of Justice ruling about Israel's genocidal behavior towards Palestinian people. The International Criminal Court issuing arrest warrants this week is also a huge step forward. And just announced today, 3 more European countries have announced they are going to recognize Palestine. We are demanding the same of governments in Britain and all over Europe. And tomorrow we have a debate in Parliament to say exactly that. So the conference is the opportunity to strengthen our resolve and understand that the conflict has been going on for a very long time. The occupation has been going on for a very long time. Our demands: ceasefire now, withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, end the occupation of the West Bank, and the Palestinian people having that right of return. We are a movement of people, of all faiths, of all communities, of all groups, and in all parts of the world. Solidarity for the people of Palestine.
We want to play one more video, but I want to mention that, yesterday, and I think throughout this weekend, we've all experienced things we've probably never experienced before, right? Whether it was the entrance with the flag, the playing of Multani, the role that the youth in our struggle have assumed, our welcome for Sanat Dhaka, a welcome she's probably never received anywhere in her life. And not just for Sanat, but Milad. And I want you all to understand that the way we've received these important figures in our struggle, the way we've received the struggle itself, the way we've taken it upon ourselves to actually wage struggle, is reverberating everywhere, including and especially in Palestine. Our people are watching all of this, including in Gaza. And this gives them a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, a lot of energy in a situation that is filled with despair. And so that's one of the roles we have to play as a movement, is to reinforce and strengthen the movements in Palestine in their process of resisting and being resilient in the face of this genocide. And so I wanted to give you that. And so one of the other things that I wanted to mention, and I was really moved by this, but I'm sure you all saw when our comrades in USPCN gave the poster of Walid and Milad to Sana. Milad looked at it and was like, this is my dad, this is me, you know? And she was very nervous when she came in. She was afraid, obviously, like there's a bunch of people screaming at her. You have to remember, you know, you're young, it's like, you still gotta process, like, why are all these people yelling at me, even if it's favorable. But anyways, she goes back to the back and, you know, we're talking to her and she says she wants to come back on stage. And one day I know Milad, and she's already done this, but one day she is gonna assume the front stage. So we wanted to play a little recap video for y'all.
Our late martyr and prisoner, Walid Daqqa, was a mountain in our national liberation struggle. And mountains do not move. Sana Daqqa is a revolutionary woman and journalist who has been since a young age confronting Zionism on all fronts. Sana and Walid's daughter, Milad, was conceived through his smuggled sperm against all odds. By conceiving Milad, Walid and Sana understood that the liberation of a homeland is generational. And through Milad, they were giving birth to a new generation that will continue to fight until liberation.
So the first plenary for today will be the Student Intifada Zionism off our campus. And we've all witnessed and likely participated in the student movement over the last few months, since the beginning of this war, and likely in the last few years. You know, many of us organizers, including in PYM and all of the different organizations involved in this conference, that's where we got our start, the student movement. That's where we were forged. That's where we were made to become.
Anytime you hear someone talk about being an organizer, that's a reference to being a socialist. Socialists are always and perpetually organizing. Now, if you listen to the right, they'll say something like, we have jobs, we can't do that, bah, 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 bah. Socialists don't have jobs. They do have jobs. They're literally professional organizers. Not all of them are professional. Some of them are doing it voluntarily in their free time. But effectively, they do get paid for this, but it's not by George Soros. They have all these different activist organizations that literally pay them to organize all day, every day. They are organizing within the university system. They are socialists control the unions. Unions are all about organizing. So they are exactly, socialists are quite literally doing the work. And so I don't want people to think like socialists don't have jobs. The only conservatives who have no. The reason they win is that they are always and perpetually organizing to move forward. The right has one organizer. One. Scott Pressler. That's it. What Scott Pressler is out there doing all day, every day is organizing. They have one. Socialists have thousands of other people that are doing this all day, every day. This is their obsession. In order to Where's the money come from? I'll tell you exactly where their money comes from. It comes from dues that they pay to their organizations, because a lot of them actually do have jobs in the real world as well. So they are required to pay there are some organizations that require them to pay 1 day's salary a month in dues to the organization. They come from voluntary donations. They come from event ticket sales, training ticket sales, stuff like this. And the biggest one is from publishing. They publish books, they publish periodicals, they publish planning, they publish pamphlets, and you have to pay for all of that. Socialists have an insular ecosystem in terms of their economy. So when you're involved in their movement, you're really only spending your money on like necessities like rent and food and all that. But then on socialist books, on socialist events, donating to mutual aid causes, donating to organizations, going to their events, going to their trainings, buying their books, it's almost entirely self-funded. Anyone who tells you that Soros is funding all of this is lying. And no, there is not a massive amount of Chinese communist funding, guys. This is all conservative propaganda. Listen, what you can find is you can say there was one activist that once worked with Students in Justice with Palestine, that worked with an organization that had a fellowship that was funded by George Soros. This is the type of thing that the conservatives are doing, is they find one person within the organization and they say, that person once worked as a fellow for this other organization where they were sponsored by a fellowship that was funded by George Soros. And then they say, that means Soros is funding everything. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. A lot of these organizations operate on like a shoestring budget. They aren't making a lot of money. These are not millionaires. These are not Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter struck the fucking gold mine in terms of being millionaire grifters. Most of these people are living in apartments that they're sharing with multiple people. They're kind of living day to day. They don't have a huge savings account. This is what they do because this is who they are. This is what they're passionate about. This is their identity. This is everything. That's why they do it. It's not because of the money. But I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, well, exactly. And how do Republicans treat Scott Pressler? Like a goddamn pariah, like a leper. Exactly. I agree with that.
We are today. Those were the most formative and transformative experiences of our lives. And it's important because the student movement has always produced the future leaders of our struggle, of every struggle.
This is the other thing I want to say. So people always ask, like, who are the leaders on the left? The leaders are the people writing the books. The people are in academia. The people who are giving the talks at the conferences. It's a whole collective group of leaders. But in order to become a leader on the left, you have to be an organizer. There is no path to unless there's like a freak accident or something. Most people who are considered to be leaders on the left, they started as organizers. So that's your path. If you don't act as an organizer, you're never going to work your way up through the ranks of the party. Does that make sense?
That includes the Palestinian struggle. And so without further ado, if I can have the panelists from the student movement come up.
Will there be organizers in will the organizers be our rulers in the Marxist utopia? Exactly. The organizers that organize the protests, that organize the revolution, they're the ones that are going to form the councils that take over to decide things when we get to the Marxist utopia. That's exactly right, John. Oh, thank you two ladies. I appreciate that. Hang on. Cognitive Renaissance over on Rumble. I think you just joined us. Cognitive Renaissance is asking, what is the socialist goal in focusing on this one particular issue? Their goal is always to abolish capitalism. Capitalism is defined as private property ownership. Their goal in this issue is to advance a far left political ideology that wants to abolish capitalism. That's it. They believe that the liberation of Palestine means liberation from capitalism. Yo, true. Good observation. Exactly. You're welcome, Cognitive.
Our comrade Nidet will be moderating this panel and introducing
Comrade.
our panelists. Thank you, everyone.
What does comrade mean? For those who might be newer to Socialism Saturday, probably about a year ago, we actually did a 3-part class in what it means to be a good comrade and the history of the comrade title. They really do call each other that. What does comrade mean? Pop quiz. You can always identify a socialist when they're calling each other comrade. No one calls people comrade that are not a socialist. Comrade means a member of the party. It means a socialist partner. It means they're a member of the club. Fellow revolutionaries. Exactly. Comrade is a member of the collective. You're part of the gang. You are in solidarity with the revolution. Member of the collective. A fellow traveler. They're partners. To be called a comrade for socialists is actually like, it's like an honorific. It's like when people call me Dr. Carlin because I got a PhD, right? It's like comrade is like the same thing. It's an honorific. It is a term of honor. You're part of the collective. You're part of the Borg. You're part of the hive mind. They are all comrades. They are all part of the same group. You are one of them. Exactly.
Oh, I love the energy. I heard disclose, divest, and I knew the crowd was going to be awake this morning. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the Student Intifada Zionism off our campuses plenary. It is an honor to be here this weekend and to be moderating this plenary amongst my esteemed colleagues here and peers. My name is Nida Lafi. I'm an organizer based in Dallas who has the privilege of working closely with students on a national scale, and I've been doing so for nearly 2 years now. For the past 8 months, and particularly the last month and a half, the student movement has played a crucial role in re-energizing the broader movement for Palestinian liberation, both in the US and around the world. What began as a small encampment at Columbia University quickly spurred into a chain series.
Hang on, we're getting a lot of great questions tonight, and I want to acknowledge this question from Cognitive Renaissance over on Rumble. Also, how or why do socialists kind of stay under the radar? They are somehow super organized, and yet it kind of seems that no one knows about them. That is a great question, and it boggles my mind. Let's see. They're somehow super organized, as in the small town near me, but they don't talk about it to outsiders. I only found out about it by hearing a bookstore owner say, "Hello, comrade," when she didn't know I was there. Cognitive Renaissance, you are asking the question of the hour. Because I'll be honest, I have been watching far left trainings and far left videos on this channel for 3 years, over 3 years now, 3.5 years. And they're not quiet about what they're doing. But the problem is that if people don't know where to look, like I know where to look to find socialist training videos. I know all the YouTube channels that are with the best videos. I know all the activist names. But if you don't know where to look, then it's one of those things where they can kind of operate out in the open. And if you aren't looking directly at them and you don't know what you're looking at, then you're just not going to see it. It sounds like Cognitive Renaissance over on Rumble found out about this by being in a radical revolutionary socialist bookstore. There are radical revolutionary socialist bookstores all over the country, in every major city. And that's where they hold trainings. That's where they hold events. That's, again, they make a lot of their money from publishing. They do their book tours every time the socialists write a new book. This is part of how they organize, part of how they identify people. But if you don't know what you're looking for, how easy is it to walk down the street and not even see the radical revolutionary socialist bookstore that's like right in front of you right now? So it's kind of one of those things that most people don't know what to look for. And the conservative right has done an awful job in covering this. That's really the biggest thing. So many people, I've been screaming about this for literally years. So many people on the right should know exactly what's going on because I literally play the video on the internet almost every day of the week. It's not as though they don't have access to the material. They just prefer to look at libs of TikTok. Mark Levin never talks about this. Glenn Beck never talks about this. Dan Bongino never talks about this. Tucker Carlson never talks about this. The Daily Wire never talks about this. There is no major conservative outlet that is doing any coverage on the real far left at all. That's why people don't know. Because the right refuses to talk about it. The influencers refuse to talk about it. They refuse. I cannot tell you guys, and I know my normal viewers have like heard me say this a million times. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone like undercover at a socialist event and I have them on secret recordings saying everything they believe. And I literally will send, this literally happened to me with Glenn Beck. I'll name him specifically. I don't care anymore. This literally happened to me with Glenn Beck. I went undercover at a socialist event. I got on a self-managed abortion tour, completely documented. I recorded stuff. I had all this written material. I sent it to Glenn Beck's producer, and Glenn Beck's producer was like, Carlin, can you explain to me why people would be interested in this? And I was like, I literally have an abortion shrine. I'm showing you a self-managed bathroom abortion shrine. You're telling me your audience is not going to be interested in this? I had a 4-page book list of every single book that they were using for trans and non-binary kids in elementary school. And I gave it to them. I was like, here you go. Like, can you explain why our audience would be, you guys are bitching and complaining about books all the fucking time, but you're not actually, I'm literally handing you a 4-page book list of like trans and non-binary books directed at elementary school kids, and you're ignoring it. If you want to know why they're allowed to do this, it's because conservative influencers have failed. Conservative media has failed. They have access to all of the information. I've made sure they had access to all the information. And they never cover it. This has been going on for years now. They never cover it. Where can you see the list of books? Head over to my Substack, carlin.substack.com. It's in the How to Speak Socialist section. Literally, it's on my Substack. Like, I published it along with all the rest of it. So head over to my Substack, support the work I'm doing, because God knows conservative media isn't going to cover any of this. So I wish I had a different answer for you. I wish your influencers were being more responsive to this. But the fact is that they just don't. And on the rare occasion where they do actually cover my work, they steal it from me and they don't give me credit. So I appreciate you asking, though.
Of escalations on college campuses with clear goals, right? Ending our institutions' complicity in the ongoing brutal genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza, confronting administrations with a moral crisis, and proving to students that our society and our society at large, just how far our institutions are willing to go to protect their financial interests and protect the agenda of the empire. Shame. For weeks, we've watched students get arrested, brutalized, suspended, and charged with false criminal allegations. And for weeks, we've watched students say loud and clear, we will not stop, we will not rest. in spite of the brutality, in spite of the repression, and in spite of the clear attempt to pacify us. Defining a new character for the struggle for Palestinian liberation in the diaspora, Students for Justice in Palestine and other student groups have risen to meet the demand that this moment begs of us, which is to pressure every institution and every body that is complicit in the genocide and make Palestine unavoidable in every sense of the word. And so, these couple of weeks have kicked off what is now being referred to as the Student Intifada, characterized by the fight for divestment and the creation of popular universities for Gaza on college campuses everywhere. You see, the truth is this.
Oh, hang on. So old Mike B over on Rumble. I'm loving the interaction on Rumble today, guys. I wish I could display your chats on the screen, but Rumble doesn't integrate with StreamYard, so I can't. But I wish I could. Old Mike B on Rumble says you should write a book on that. That's funny you say that, old Mike B, because hang on. Because I literally am. I literally am writing a book. And you can actually follow along with the writing of my book if you go to the Substack speaksocialist.substack.com. Now, this is a premium Substack because I'm literally writing my book in public. You're going to get access to my drafts. You're going to get access to my thoughts. I'm working on a couple drafts right now that haven't come out yet because I'm working on them. But this is literally where I'm writing my next book. Now, this will culminate with being an actual physical book at some point. But the thing is, I published 2 books, and it takes from the time you finish the manuscript to the time it actually gets published, it usually takes like 12 to 18 months. I actually don't want people to have to wait if they're really interested in this. So what I'm doing is I'm writing the book via the Substack, where you're going to get to see all my drafts. You're going to see the content as it's produced. I'm making audio versions so you can actually listen to it just like an audiobook. And this is how I'm writing my next book. And at some point, it will culminate in a physical book that you can buy, but you can read the content right now, so no one has to wait for it. So I appreciate the thought. And I'm working on it. I'm going to be writing in the book later tonight. So sign up for email updates if you would be so inclined. I would appreciate it.
Student movement has historically been at the forefront of the struggle. In yesterday's plenary on the state of the movement, there was a brief mention of GUPS, the General Union of Palestinian Students, which was a student formation created in the late 50s that was quickly called to take lead in the creation of the PLO. GUPS supported a transnational infrastructure, and at its peak, it included over 100,000 students globally. GUPS was characterized by its politics of internationalism and viewed as one of the most powerful segments of the broader movement for national liberation. I mention GUPS because it is critical to know that students have always been significant in our history, and to know that today we are building on a powerful legacy of organizing and struggle. As all other segments of the movement, GUPS and the student movement were hit hard by the signing of the Oslo Accords. And for decades, there was an active effort to depoliticize and delegitimize student work. But yet here we are today, in a moment where our people and movement are under attack in every sense of the word. Our students are only becoming stronger. And in fact, not only are they getting stronger, but they are also defining a new level of escalation that they are willing to take for our people in Gaza. Over half a year into an ongoing genocide that has robbed us of 40,000 of our loved ones, the students have made their commitment to our people clear. They are saying we will risk arrests, we will risk suspensions, we will risk losing our scholarships, having our diplomas withheld, and we will do whatever it takes to end the onslaught of our people and to push forward the demand for liberation and return. Not only that, but students are also actively rejecting the mischaracterization of encampments. What we're hearing about this is an issue of freedom of speech or just suppression, and boiling it down to these neoliberal talking points.
Neoliberal.
They are reiterating time and time.
What does neoliberal mean? Pop quiz for the chat. What does neoliberal mean? Every time they say neoliberal, what are they referring to? Thanks for stopping by, old Mike B. I appreciate it. What does neoliberal refer to? Well, Autumn, who is a socialist, by the way, for people who don't know, Autumn leaves in my YouTube chat is a socialist, so please don't give her too much credit. But she's saying the neoliberal means capitalist, neoliberal means capitalist. Data 12 over on Rumble says new liberal. Not quite Data 12, but I understand why you think that. Here's what they really mean. Democrat. Socialists call Democrats neoliberals. They call progressives neoliberals. Democratic capitalists. They believe the Democrats, the progressives, are too close to capitalism. That includes AOC. That includes Bernie Sanders. Democrats. It's not just anyone who's opposed to capitalism. Or it's not just anyone who supports capitalism. They don't call Republicans neoliberals. They call Republicans fascists, which is another word for capitalists, but okay. Neoliberals mean Democrats, typically. It doesn't just mean capitalist, it means Democrats. Corporations, Democrats.
Again, Gaza is our compass. Gaza is the reason why we're doing this. But while we recognize this to be a powerful moment,
oh wait, you came from Cozy. This is Socialism Saturday, the infamous Socialism Saturday. Please come to learn about socialism. Hang out with us. Everyone be nice to our Cozy friend. Are they ever coming back, do you think? We'll see, I guess.
For the student movement, we also must recognize that this is only the tip of the iceberg of our work, right? And to engage in our struggle on a larger level, there must be transnational cohesion, right? So we have to have an honest conversation of where we are with that. The context of the student movement in Palestine is not at the same place as it is in the US, which is not the same as Europe. It's not the same in Latin America. And despite these different contexts, approach, and strategy, students must become unified under one vision, right? Under one goal. And with that, I'm excited to be facilitating this panel with student and community organizers from around the world so that we may first discuss the Student Intifada, the popular university for Gaza, how that's manifested across the world, examine the lessons learned from this moment, and discuss what the future necessitates in order to continue building a student movement that represents a stronger segment in the larger struggle for liberation of our people and our land. So without further ado, I will introduce our panelists. We have Ibtihal Maali.
They know who all these people are. These are their rock stars. I want people to understand that. These are their rock stars. These are their heroes. These are the people they look up to. Just because you haven't heard of these people doesn't mean other people have. These are the leaders of their cult.
Ibtihal is a graduate student. She's an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement, and she's a former member of Students for Justice in Palestine and Columbia University Apartheid Divest. Ibtihal will be speaking to us about the encampments in her locale, New York City, the tactic of encampments and its significance, as well as provide us with the perspective of the community supporter, right? Rejecting the premise of outside agitator and breaking down how community support has been critical to the success of the Student Intifada.
Look, there's a woman that doesn't wear a hijab on the end.
Joining us via Zoom is Ghaid Hijaz. She's joining us from Bir Zayt. Let's get a round of applause for our folks in Palestine. Ghaid is an advocate for Palestinian liberation, and she uses her social media platform to challenge dominant narratives in the West Bank about the Palestinian liberation movement. Ghaid is also a part of the Right to Education campaign at Bir Zayt. Ghaid will be speaking to us about the status of the student movement in Palestine and how things have changed for both students in the West Bank and Gaza since early October. She will also speak to the importance of building a more transnational movement and connecting the student movement in Palestine to the student movement in the diaspora. And to my right here, we have Monty Rumbold, who is a student organizer at Warwick Stands with Palestine Campus Coalition, who was the first university in Britain to establish a Gaza solidarity encampment. Monty facilitates the Coalition Outreach Committee, who have taken lead in bringing over 50 students and staff organizations into its folds. Monty will be speaking to us about the current status of the student organizing for Palestine at his university and a bit about the wider UK context. And our last but not least, our last speaker will be Dawood At-Ta'amri, who is a Palestinian student in Italy. He is a member of the Palestinian Youth in Italy, and he's currently a student at the University of Bologna. To his right, we have Maryam Samra, who is a writer, teacher, and researcher at the Center for Strategic Study at the University of Jordan in Amman. She focuses on transnational student and youth politics and the third world societies. She will be translating for Dawood today.
Well, actually, yeah. And this is actually a really important point, guys. The reason that it's fruitless to tell socialists in the United States, why don't you move to Venezuela? Why don't you move to Cuba? What they'll tell you, and they literally do say this, is that they want socialism in the United States because if they can do socialism here, they can do socialism anywhere. And they do believe that in order for socialism to be successful, it needs to be a globalist endeavor. They believe the United States is just the first domino that's going to get knocked over. And once the United States gets knocked over, everywhere else is going to fall. Now, you might say, Carlin, we told you they were globalists just like the WEF. Well, okay, but they're not the same groups. The WEF are Malthusians. The WEF are like actual fascists, okay? The radical revolutionary socialists are a completely different group. So what that means is at some point, and there are other groups too, but those are the big ones that I hear about. At some point, all of the people who want to control this globalist thing, they're going to fight. It's like two baseball teams, right? Both those baseball teams want to win the World Series, but that doesn't mean those baseball teams are friends. It means they're going to fight at some point. And we're all right in the middle of it. Like, even to throw you guys a bone, like the people on Cozy would say, well, the Jews want to do that too. Okay, well, fine. Just means they're going to fight at some point. That's all it means. They all want the same goal. And at some point, once they're done dispensing with all of us, because we are all ultimately like, you know, serfs, then they're all going to start fighting each other. Does that make sense?
Without further ado, I'll pass it on to Ibtihal, who will, I'm sure, enlighten us right now.
Hello. Hi. I wanted to thank Nida and the rest of the individuals on this panel. I'm really honored to be here. And also all the organizers who put this conference together. This has truly been an amazing weekend. And I'm really honored to be here with you all today. Like Nidat said, I'm a community organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement in New York City. Love it. I was also a Columbia University SJP alum, and I'm a current grad student at NYU. And so to start us off, to speak about the impact of the student movement right now on our broader movement. I mean, like Nidat said, the student movement right now hasn't just been activated, you know, in the last month with this spark of encampments.
Yep,
it hasn't just been activated
I've heard them say
in
this too.
the last 8 months. The student movement has historically been a struggle that has been.
When people ask them like why socialism doesn't work in like Venezuela and Cuba, what they'll say is that they weren't fully developed societies, and so socialism can only work once it comes from a fully developed society. So thank you for making that note.
Waged on our campuses that has been applying direct pressure on our universities and other complicit institutions. But to speak specifically to the role of Columbia University in sparking this broader tactic of encampment across the globe, and locally. I mean, I can start locally. Columbia University's encampment sparked over 10 encampments within a 50-mile radius of Columbia University in New York. I mean, we had the encampment at Columbia, there's an encampment at NYU, at Fordham, at CUNY, at the New School, FIT, Parsons, Long Island schools, Jersey City schools, and you know, this was it was very important escalation, and it was a very important tactic as part of a broader strategy of confronting Zionism and confronting our universities and institutions' complicity in Zionism and genocide. I wanted to talk specifically actually about the impact that this had on a local level and beyond. For a lot of students, I'm sure many of you have seen the footage or read about it. For a lot of students, this was their first direct confrontation with the state and with state-sanctioned violence. Because Columbia University is a private university, they had to formally invite the NYPD onto campus when they swept. And so we know that Manoush Shafiq, the president of Columbia, not only formally invited the NYPD onto, yeah, boo.
Boo! I'm just kidding, I don't care.
She not only invited the NYPD on Columbia's campus once to mass arrest students.
Pop quiz for the chat. Why was it a big fucking deal that the president of Columbia University brought the New York Police Department onto their campus when the encampment first started? Why was that? What this was one of the biggest mistakes the president of Columbia made in the handling of the encampment. Until the encampment at Columbia was a relatively small, uneventful affair, until the president of Columbia brought the NYPD on campus. Why? Stevie J, the NYPD had not been allowed on campus since 1968, since the Vietnam protests. And these are socialists. They believe that the police are protectors of private property. The police protect private property. There was a deal that the NYPD were not allowed on Columbia's campus. The police uphold capitalism. It showed the police enforcing capitalism. She ended a 50-year no cop zone. The police are the enforcement arms of the capitalist state. It's really important that you say capitalist state, not just the state, the capitalist state. The police represent capitalism because it was supposedly started as a way of capturing runaway slaves. Now, of course, they wanted that. Of course they did, Milo, but that's not the point. Exactly. The police enforce capitalism. The police are the enforcers of private property. She broke ranks in a very big way. Listen, guys, abolition. Anytime you guys hear socialists say abolition, most of the time they're talking about prison abolition, police abolition, defunding the police, abolishing the prison industrial complex. This is like one of their number one issues. Socialists hate the police more than almost anything else. This is why you're seeing crime be decriminalized in cities. This is why you're seeing people going into a Target and being able to steal whatever they want and leaving, and there's nothing that's going to happen to them. This is why you saw the defund the police movement in 2020. This is why they were burning down police stations. Like, this is like one of their primary number one issues. And if you involve the police at all, yeah, ACAB, all cops are bastards. Exactly. If you involve the police at all, you are like, you're going to take what happened after the Columbia University president called the police onto campus is you had a relatively small encampment that it blew up overnight. The encampment quadrupled in size after they brought the NYPD onto campus because people were so pissed off. This is one of the biggest mistakes that was made in this entire affair.
over 100 students in broad daylight in front of thousands of their peers. She did it twice. And, you know, students fully saw the brutalization of their peers. They saw, you know, one sec. Yeah, so going back to the point that this was their first direct confrontation with state-sanctioned violence, because the university allowed it to happen, it revealed to a lot of students how willing the university was to protect their genocidal interests, which only benefit empire and the ruling class over the popular will and the physical safety of the student body. And we know that this is popular will because if you've seen any of the footage from the Barnard graduation, 90% of the student body stood up and turned their backs on the president when she stood up to speak. And it wasn't just when she spoke throughout the whole commencement and throughout all of Columbia's commencement as well, which by the way was moved off campus. Columbia canceled it, and the last time Columbia did that was in 1968 during the anti-Vietnam War protests.
See? The Columbia students were trying to recreate the 1968 protests. Do you know how I know? Because they literally posted on their Instagram an image of the 1968 protests and their protest today. They were trying to recreate it.
Yeah, and I say this to say that sorry, I got distracted. This moment truly radicalized a lot of people, and it really forced people to, I mean, I think it's important to recognize that this moment forced a lot of people to choose, right? So Columbia University, Barnard College were not any less complicit last year or the year before. Resolutions and revolutions have been passed since 2018, since before. And the point is that the university was not any less complicit. In fact, they've continued to thwart and reject all the BDS resolutions that have been passed. The point is that this movement, the past 8 months, the tactic of encampment and the use of police on campus ignited a new fire under the student movement that showed students how the direct ties their institution dollars are going to, and seeing that their university is benefiting when bombs are being dropped in Gaza. And, you know, students had to choose, right? Are we going to...
Should I make a t-shirt design that says Carlin radicalized me? Would you... I kind of want to make a t-shirt design that says Carlin radicalized me. What's a BDS? BDS is about divesting from Israel. So anytime you hear BDS, what does BDS stand for? Someone remind me what the B and the S stand for. Thank you, Sandy. Boycott, divest, sanction. So it's basically all about stop giving Israel money. Boycott Israel, divest from Israel, sanction Israel. Thank you. See, this is why it's useful to have a socialist around.
Students had to choose because of the current genocide that is occurring and the movement that has been maintained for the past 8 months, which has forced us to choose, are we going to choose genocide or are we going to choose liberation? And this decision is going to creep into every single corner and every single facet of our lives because of its salience in our current moment.
Let's all welcome Sen. I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. We're glad you're here.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to move into a little bit about talking about the encampment itself, the use of encampment as a tactic and the purpose it serves and its significance. And I think, like Nidat said in the very beginning, it's actually very important that we recenter ourselves and we think about, you know, why did Columbia University students decide to escalate? Columbia University students didn't just decide a month ago that their form of protest was going to be an encampment. They had been protesting, they've been mobilizing and organizing for the past 8 months, trying to pressure the university to divest.
I want to emphasize this point because I've heard this from a lot of conservatives on Twitter who don't understand this. They're all like, the encampments must be Soros funded because they all have the same tent. And it's not possible to organize that quickly if it's not funded by George Soros. I really want everyone to hear this. The college encampments didn't pop up overnight. The college students had been organizing for months prior to the encampments being created. They started organizing almost immediately out. Now, some of these groups had actually been organizing with each other prior to October 7th. Students for Justice in Palestine existed as a group long prior to October 7th. Columbia University Apartheid Divest, which is actually a coalition of 100 different student groups at Columbia, they had been organizing together for literally years. Literally years. NYNCA on Rumble says the tents were also purposefully green because green is the color of Islamic flags. If you look at videos from the encampment site, most of them aren't green. Truly and sincerely. Most of the tents that were at the Columbia University encampment site were not green. And I know that because I was watching literal live feed from the encampment site where they were walking around. There was blue, there was orange, there was green, there was gray. There were all sorts of colors of tent, all sorts of different varieties of tent. But the biggest thing I want people to understand is that this did not pop up overnight. These people have known each other for years. They've been organizing with each other for years. They started organizing around October 7th, specifically like right after it started, and they were organizing protests for months and months and months. This is why Bill Ackman invested all that money in buying like trucks where he was displaying student names and stuff like that. And all of this happened prior to the encampment starting, where Bill Ackman was driving these trucks around cities with all the student names about all the students you shouldn't be hiring and stuff like that. That's because those students were organizing. So any conservative influencer that says, like, this all just popped up, it must be Soros funded. We were literally watching them organize for months before the encampments popped up. It was just another tactic. I want to listen to that part again.
We recenter ourselves and we think about, why did Columbia University students decide to escalate? Columbia University students didn't just decide a month ago that their form of protest was going to be an encampment. They had been protesting, they've been mobilizing and organizing for the past 8 months, trying to pressure the university to divest. And the form of protest took many different forms. And the reason they decided to escalate was because Columbia University refused to come to the negotiating table, refused to address the will of the people and their demand for divestment.
So why did they escalate? Why did they create an encampment? Because they were trying to get the attention of the administration of Columbia University to convince them to divest from Israel, and the administration was ignoring them. And then, not only was the administration ignoring the protests that they were already doing, the president of the university went to testify in front of Congress. Guess what day the encampment popped up? When the president of the university went to testify in front of Congress. It is not out of the realm of possibility to say that Republicans in Congress who control the congressional hearings, when they demanded that the Columbia University president come before Congress to answer to them, conservatives in Congress may have actually started all of this. Because would the encampment have happened if they hadn't been given a national stage of, oh, wait, the president of the university is testifying in front of Congress on this issue that we care about more than anything else? If the president of Columbia had not been called to testify at a Republican-controlled committee, then there is a very big possibility that the encampments never would have happened. And I think it's important that we talk about that because it's important to kind of like reverse engineer. How did we get to this point? It's because the students were protesting for months. The students were ignored. The students had an opportunity to get national attention. The Republicans in Congress wanted to put on a fucking show for the media. And this is not blaming the victim. I see that on Rumble. This is not blaming the victim. Those congressional hearings are nothing more than a fucking clown show. Those congressional hearings mean nothing. If the protests had just been ignored, they would go away. They're allowed to protest. They're allowed to express their First Amendment rights, guys. You might not like what they say, but they're allowed to do it. If conservatives hadn't escalated by calling everyone and their mother in front of Congress in order to own the libs, which is exactly what they're doing, all they care about is owning the libs, this probably wouldn't have escalated. That's just reality.
And the decision to escalate and the decision to start an encampment is important. It's important to recognize that this was, like I said before, it is, yes, it's a direct confrontation. It facilitated, or it ultimately led to a direct confrontation with the state, but it was also a direct confrontation with Columbia University. Students were holding material, they were holding material land that Columbia needed for commencement. For context, Columbia holds its commencement on Columbia lawns every single year. And by holding liberated land on Columbia University, Columbia students basically didn't allow Columbia to hold commencement for as long as that land was held. And so this was a strategic move that ultimately built community and it built skills. I guess Nidat mentioned in the very beginning to talk against this outside agitator narrative. We're one movement with multiple fronts, and this outside agitator narrative only seeks to divide, and it provides a pretense to brutalize the movement. The community was very involved from the start, and Columbia University students decided from the start that there would be no differentiation between university students and community organizers that were involved with the encampment.
I want to emphasize this point too, and we've talked about this before, but what she's saying is, again, this is another conservative talking point, that most of them aren't even students. They don't care. They don't care. And guess what, guys? The non-students involved in the organizing of all of this is what's going to take this from a college campus protest and put it right in the middle of every major American city in the country. The fact that they are not just students is a benefit. It is not a drawback. It's a benefit. It means they're going to be able to blow this shit up all summer long. Does everyone understand that?
Community organizers provided tactical knowledge, supplies, bodies, programming, trainings. There were daily protests outside of the gates of Columbia University every single day, throughout all hours of the day and night. And I think it's important that we recognize that we realize and act with the knowledge that our interests are aligned. This is one broader movement. And actually, I want to quote
a
beautiful quote from a comrade of mine who wrote this for an edition of the New York War Crimes. And I think it really embodies how the students were moving, a refusal to be moved and a willingness to sacrifice. And when we talk about this willingness to sacrifice, I mean, Sana and Milad Daqa were here yesterday, and we started by watching back that video. And I mean, these aren't just empty slogans that we're saying, right? We have a commitment to strengthening ourselves as organizers and strengthening our movement, especially right here in the belly of the beast. And I think it's important that we push back against this narrative that our movement is fragmented, and recognize that the more unified we are, the stronger our movement is, and the bigger threat that we present to the US empire and our complicit institutions.
Thank you, Ibtihal. It's so important to brush on that note of community support, because it's a reminder to the institution, we're not doing an encampment on your terms, right? This whole outside agitator narrative came about because the universities want encampments to be done on their terms. We're not doing it on your terms, right? This is a disruption.
Look at that. They're rejecting the rules. Conservatives and right-leaning people in the universities, and they consider the universities to be right-leaning, by the way, they're trying to say, you're only allowed to have student protesters. And the students are going, go fuck yourselves. We will work with anyone who wants to protest. And again, that's actually the right thing. This is an example of how people who are thinking inside of a box try to force that box on other people, but they're not thinking inside the box. They're going, we're going to do what we want. And if other people want to come and protest on an issue that we care about, then we're going to work with them. And quite frankly, this is something that conservatives actually should be learning from, because conservatives shit on people all the time who don't fit neatly into their box. And then there are all of a sudden less people voting for them and less people working for them. And they wonder why that is. Like, why won't anyone vote for us? The left is crazy. Well, because you shit on people for not fitting into your box. The left is going, we reject, exactly. The left is saying, we reject all rules made by capitalist oppressors. Guys, you're never obligated to accept rules that someone else is trying to make you accept. You're never obligated to. You're never obligated to do what someone else wants you to do. They can say it's a rule. Like, you should look like this. You should act like the right does this all the time. Anytime I'm like the right, if like I'm yelling at someone, the right will go, you're crazy. You shouldn't be yelling at anyone. You're supposed to be nice. What kind of image are you? Okay. Where is there, like, when did I agree to the rule that I have to be nice to everyone? Like, you may want me to be nice to you, but that doesn't mean I'm obligated to be nice to you. And at the same time, it's like the students are saying, the right is saying, they're all supposed to be students. None of them are even students. And the students are saying, we don't care. We don't care. Like, we reject your rules. We'll work with anyone that wants to work with us. And that's why they win.
And with that great start to our panel, I will pass it to Monty to talk to us a little bit about the UK and the broader context that he's organizing under.
Hey, great. Thanks for that. Before I get started, I just want to reiterate just how much of an honor it is to be in this space, to be sharing the stage and in conversation with movement leaders. It's truly an honor, and I'm deeply humbled to be here along with the small but powerful British delegation. And look,
never trust anyone.
The very fact of our presence, of the presence of myself in this delegation, is a testament to the globalization of the student intifada, and long may it live. So my name is Monty. I'm a student organizer with the Work Stands with Palestine Campus Coalition, which formed in the wake of the scenes of intense repression of our movement after the October 7th. And since then, we have unified campus. We are building a popular front with currently over 50 coalition partners across really all sectors of campus life, politicized and the depoliticized organizations alike. So I'm first going to be talking a bit about what organizing looks like on our campus, and just the kind of innovation and political development of the political formations of these encampments that have been taking place, and why this is such an important step forward for our movement, especially in Britain. I'm then going to talk a little bit about how we've been adapting our campaign to the local structural context of higher education in Britain, and how tactics and strategy have been adopted from within the British student movement. And then I'm going to offer some final thoughts about what we're thinking about in Britain, how we're thinking about moving forward and transcending and maintaining the mobilization of our current moment to build forms of revolutionary organization beyond this summer, beyond ceasefire, importantly. So like every university on Turtle Island, the British university system has long been wedded to the project of Zionist settler colonialism and imperialism, both materially and in the arena, the crucial arena of ideological reproduction. This is a constitutive link for many universities, including my own, which continues to this day, not merely in kind of abstract complicity, but direct participation in the colonial genocide that's unfolding before our very eyes. So according to the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, which is an organization active in Britain, UK universities collectively invest over £430 million in companies sponsoring the genocide or Zionist regime, whilst universities in Britain form a crucial link in the production chain for US, Zionist, British, German bombs, warplanes, and the other technologies of total annihilation. And then this takes the form of research and academic partnerships with arms manufacturers. So in terms of...
Guys, I got to go to the little socialist room. I'll be right back. Take good notes. Let me know what happens.
What's been happening in the UK, it really is a similar story. Continuous mobilization since October across a variety of tactics. You know, we have the sit-ins, the protests, but we've seen more militant escalations, occupations on campuses where student organization is really strong in Manchester, Nottingham, Sheffield, which are a legacy of the work of our elders, recent and past, who kind of built the institutional memory for us to carry the struggle forward. But as things currently stand, which I'm extremely proud to say, there are currently 35 student encampments across Britain currently. And in many cases, these were really natural escalations after the university in Britain, identical to its counterparts on Turtle Island, continues to capitulate before the interests of imperialism, before the interests of militarism, and before the interests of the Zionist lobby. But also in lots of other contexts, this is beautiful because we are seeing encampments emerge in places where there has been little to no active or recent organizing around Palestine. So this is a major moment of unity and mobilization within the British student movement that we need to be thinking through seriously. So in terms of the kind of political innovation and formations that have been taking place, what we've seen since October is really great. We've seen action groups splitting off from kind of political education and culture-based Palestine societies, which have been depoliticized because of the repression that students have been facing. There's this thing in Britain called the Prevent Duty. I'm not sure if people know about it. It's quite a sophisticated, it's quite a sophisticated piece of state apparatus, the counter-terror state apparatus, that basically enforces any work in the public sector to be spying on the people who it provides services for. So like in hospitals, in doctors, in schools, in universities, students are surveilled by pretty much everyone around them and by their teachers. So I'll get into this a bit later, but it's part of how we're having to break down the barriers that divide us between staff, students, and the community. And this unity is really doing that. So I'm talking about this a bit later as well, but we have seen the formation of campus coalitions as a vehicle of mass mobilization, organization, and revolutionary organization, importantly, which I think is going to be the key to how we're going to be sustaining this moment. And a kind of a quick glance over the way that the university and the state have been responding to this mobilizing. We're not seeing the same levels of direct confrontation with the state. The university have largely met these encampments, you know, large and small, with a refusal to negotiate. We've seen the infantilization of these encampments, this kind of co-optation within the language of free speech, like, oh, look at these guys, we're going to let them do their thing, but we're not going to address what is the popular will of the campus community and the broader community alike. And time again, we show this. And they fail to yield to it and continue their direct participation in genocide. But what we have seen in Britain is an escalation in the past couple of weeks. So there's been an attempt by university management to try and evict student encampers from...
Hang on. Question. Do you think socialism will take hold in the East and Southeast Asia or just in the West? I mean, it's hard for me to say because I don't focus on the East or South. Well, okay, actually, I will say this. India. India is slowly being taken over by queer Marxism. And actually, the United States is funding things in India to advance this. And I know I looked into it like a year and a half ago or something. It was something to do with, I don't remember all the details. It was something to do with the State Department funding initiatives that were teaching kids in India how to make comic books and how to draw comic books to advance like queer Marxist ideas. And it was all on the State Department website. So India is a place I would watch out for, but what I will say is that I focus almost all of my attention on the United States. So that is where my frame of reference is. Rottweiler says Marxists are trying hard to queer Marxism. Oh, and Japan. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There is actually a socialist movement in Japan for sure. 100%. But India, I think, would probably be the worst right now. I've actually, in my research for like looking for presentations to watch, I've seen a lot of presentations popping up around India.
Their protest in Birmingham, failing. Good, they're failing in Nottingham. The university lost the court case, which is great to see. So shout out to them. But what we saw in recent days was, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a mass arrest at Oxford University. 17 students were arrested after initiating a peaceful sit-in of their vice chancellor's office, who, like Manish Shafiq, authorized police to come onto campus and deploy force against students who are just peacefully.
Boo.
Exactly.
I don't care.
And so so in terms of our student unions, which unfortunately, so these are the kind of the political
My hand smells like
vehicles of the
now,
student movement in Britain. The student union of these respective universities, the National Union of Students, have been dismantled as the university has been neoliberalized, which has been bad, and we've had to
the university has been neo-liberalized. I know conservatives think, well, I mean, I want to say conservatives. Like a lot of people think like the left owns the universities, the left knows they own the universities, the left loves that they own the universities. The left actually believes the universities have been neo-liberalized, which means, and I really should just read this for the Substack, which means the left believes that the universities have basically bent the knee to capitalism. So we have organizers from Columbia University Apartheid Divest on video saying that Columbia University is an illegitimate university. They want to tear down Columbia University because they believe that the university system is complicit in all of this. So just because the left owns the universities, which means they own the faculty, it doesn't mean the left perceives it to be that way. Does everyone understand? Just because the universities are run by leftists does not mean that the left is able to look at the universities and see directly, we own that institution.
Organization up from that. Okay. Okay. So I've used up all my time, sadly, but I'm going to try and quickly talk about how we've been adapting our context. So we've been hearing the chant "Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest." It's now transnational. It crosses borders, but we are having to adapt it to our own local context. So unlike a lot of these Ivy League schools, many universities in Britain are actually on the verge of insolvency. Neoliberalization has seen the university saddled with debt. They do not have large endowment funds where one might see a more direct link. UK universities relate to Zionism slightly differently, and the terrain is not uniform. And there's a lot of work for us to do on this front and how we articulate this relation. So the kind of questions that we're asking in Britain is how...
I forget the names of these scarf things, but it's like a Palestinian-made scarf. It starts with a K. I forget the name of it, though. Someone in the chat will know.
How are our universities integrated into the imperial war machine more generally, across research? What projects are being conducted on our campus? Which companies are present in our labs and our careers fairs? And how is the university basically becoming a funnel for the labor market to funnel students into these?
University is becoming a funnel for the fucking labor market. This person has read queer anarcho-communist literature. I promise you. This person has read anarcho-communist communiques, zines, anarchist literature. That's what's influencing this.
Industries which produce weapons of mass destruction and massive violence and mass killing and genocide. So I'll finish up now, but one thing I wanted to talk about is what we see at Warwick, which is the need to build organization to challenge the institution as it builds itself. And we need to be waging our own war against Zionism on campus through joint struggle to overthrow the entire oppressive system. So at Warwick, we're kind of asking, what is the university's interpretation of itself? What is its strategic plan to reproduce itself? What does it see as its modes of accumulation? And how does it place itself within the global flows of capital? So at Warwick, there is a £400 million plan to construct a new STEM.
What was that? What did he just say? Say it with me. How does the university place itself within the global throes of capital? I thought this was about Palestine. Why is he talking about how the universities place themselves within the global throes of capital? Why would they be doing that in the middle of a presentation about freeing Palestine? Let's listen again.
What does it see as its modes of accumulation, and how does it place itself within the global flows of capital?
For everyone who says, Carlin, if it's about capitalism, why don't they ever say capitalism? They do. They say it all the time. Just got to listen for it. The main focus is always capitalism. They believe the university produces the capitalist worker. Therefore, the university is within the global throes of capitalism, and that's why they need to bring down the university. Does everyone understand?
So at Warwick, there is a £400 million plan to construct a new STEM concourse, which will only solidify the university as a research destination for imperialist and Zionist interests. And yet, according to the National Union of Students, over 1/3 of students...
Did you notice how he used imperial and Zionist in the same sentence? The university is a research destination for imperialist and Zionist interests. Imperialism means the highest form of capitalism. Zionist also means capitalist because the Zionists are the settler colonists that occupied indigenous land. That means capitalism. For people who are new, I know this might seem confusing, but almost everything the left says goes back to capitalism. Data 12, I'm saying this for your benefit. Almost every term the left uses leads back to capitalism in some way. They're all just different aspects of capitalism. So imperialism means capitalism, colonization means capitalism, decolonization means removing capitalism, whiteness means capitalism, anti-racism means anti-capitalism, fascism means capitalism, patriarchy means capitalism, gender equity means the abolition of capitalism. Like all of these things, and we'll go over each of these in the course of like the presentations on this channel. But all of these things always lead back to capitalism. This has nothing to do with the Jews. This has nothing to do with anti-Semitic nothing. They don't care if people are Jewish. Jewish Voices for Peace is a real far leftist organization. There are Jews involved in this movement. It's just the way it goes.
Interests. And yet, according to the National Union of Students, over 1/3 of students are living on less than £50 a month, which is $63. 1 in 10 is now using food banks, which is doubling from just 2 years ago. There is not one affordable campus accommodation on our campus. We're seeing the precaritization of staff, the local community being displaced because they're unable to live on the land of their parents and grandparents because of university-related gentrification. And importantly, the university sees coalition building as the linchpin of its strategy to reproduce itself and its channels of accumulation. What they want to do is unify the extractive industry, policymakers, NGOs, and charities with campus at the center in service of the status quo. So as we are confronting the primary contradiction of the Zionist imperialist alliance, it's necessitating us to build a united, a popular front across all sectors of society, including the student movement, bringing in the community, and seeing the university not merely as a site to be in solidarity, but a site of struggle that we are waging in the current war against Zionism.
Thank you, Monty. We will now pass it to Dawood.
Parlerò in italiano e nessuno mi capirà. Grazie a tutti, grazie al PYM che ha organizzato questo momento e grazie a chi ha parlato prima di me. Il valore di un momento del genere è sicuramente forte. Ci troviamo in un periodo rivoluzionario, sicuramente, a partire dal 7 di ottobre fino ad arrivare ad oggi, per come ci stiamo organizzando.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to speak in Italian and no one is going to understand me. This is the first sentence that I will share. I would like first and foremost to thank PYM and all the organizers of this conference. I'm honored of being here and with all these other speakers. This moment has a strong value and meaning, and this is a revolutionary moment. And since October 7, we have been mobilizing and organizing all over the world.
Gloria ai martiri, una pronta guarigione per i feriti, una presta libertà per i prigionieri e una vicina vittoria per i combattenti che combattono sul terreno, sotto il terreno e sopra il terreno.
We honor our martyrs. We wish freedom to our prisoners. We remember our wounded, and we value all our fighters on the ground, under the ground, wherever they are.
In Italia siamo pochi palestinesi, per lo più ci sono comunità marocchine, tunisine ed egiziane molto grandi.
So Italy doesn't have a big Palestinian community, but there are other Arab communities, the Egyptian, the Moroccan, the Tunisian, that are much bigger.
Le università in Italia sono molto differenti dai campus americani, sia per la struttura che per il rapporto che hanno con l'entità sionista. Difatti il sistema di investimenti che le università americane hanno con l'entità sionista in Italia è praticamente assente.
So the Italian universities are very different from American campuses for their structures, but also for the kind of relation that they have with the Zionist entity. Indeed, they don't really have any kind of investment with the Zionist entity. Yeah.
Ma le università italiane hanno invece rapporti di collaborazione per lo più di ricerca con aziende, enti e università israeliane.
I hate it when they do
instead have cooperation, mainly research cooperation with companies, firms and Israeli universities.
Vi partirò parlando della situazione del movimento in Italia prima del 7 di ottobre. Vi faccio l'esempio di 3 anni fa a Bologna. L'Università di Bologna aveva delle collaborazioni di ricerca nel progetto di ricerca Castle con l'Israel Aerospace Industries e con Perception, con il Ministero della Pubblica Sicurezza israeliano.
So I need to refer to the situation before October, and in the past 3 years, and I'll take the example of the University of Bologna. For the past 3 years, Bologna had an agreement and a project, a research project that was called Castle, with the Israeli aerospace industries and perception, and also with the security ministry of Israel.
Un altro esempio è quello di Milano, che invece aveva una collaborazione con l'Università di Ariel, che è una colonia illegale per il diritto internazionale, però nonostante il fatto che per noi qualsiasi colonia è illegale su tutta la Palestina dal fiume al mare, dovevamo puntare sulla concretizzazione di un risultato, e quindi abbiamo puntato su questo progetto di collaborazione, su lottare contro questo progetto di collaborazione.
Another example is the University
hang on,
of Milan.
hang on. I think this is actually an important question. Carlin, would I be welcome in your supporter Discord as a non-binary person? I promise I'm not a crazy leftist. I've had non-binary people in my community before. Like I'm not joking when I say this. As long as you're cool and you don't start fights with people, like, we literally welcome everyone. We're not going to judge you because of how you like. I don't care. Like, I personally don't believe that non-binary is a real thing. I think that there's other stuff going on, but I'm not trying to deny you your ability to identify as whatever you want. I don't care. You're cool. You want to come hang out. You want to come watch a movie with us. You want to come work on some cool anti-woke shit. We will welcome you. Like, it's all good. Because here's what I know is that even though in general we say queer is a far left political ideology, and anyone that identifies as non-binary usually tends to be queer, I also know that there are a lot of people who identify as queer or non-binary or any of the other things that don't. There are people who float around those titles that are not necessarily pushing a far left agenda. So as long as you're just cool, I don't think anyone cares. Like I said, I've literally had, non-binary people in my community before. You know, I guess what I would say is that if we're talking about queer and we're talking about non-binary in terms of the desire to abolish the gender binary and force everyone into a non-binary thing, I guess I would encourage you, just like, we're not trying to personally offend you. That's not the goal. So, yeah, I mean, everyone is welcome. No one cares. You know, we're not a hate group. Listen, man, it's my opinion that adults should be able to do whatever they want. And if you want to live as a non-binary person and use they them pronouns, then I will do my very best to try to respect that. I really will, because like, it's just like, it's basic respect and courtesy. We just don't like socialists. So that's all good. Hey, I really appreciate you asking, One Chance Fancy.
Actually had a research cooperation and collaboration with Ariel, which is a university in one of the settlements in the occupied West Bank. While we don't under international law, that is illegal under international law. While we don't actually make the difference between the what are defined as illegal settlement by international law in the West Bank and all the other settlers in the whole of historic Palestine, from the river to the sea. Yeah. So while we don't make this difference, we had to kind of accept the language of international.
Yes, in order to get access to the supporter Discord, you sign up as a supporter on the Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year. I will be sending out an email tomorrow with a fresh link to the supporter Discord. So you can find it right now. There is an email that went out on Monday with a link to the supporter Discord. So it's just called like the supporter perks email. You can probably join it from that still. But just in case that doesn't work, I will be sending out a fresh Discord link tomorrow. And Tiffanel says over on Rumble, click the like button to help Carlin show on the up on the front of Rumble. Hey, I appreciate that. This is a good time to remind people to mount the like button for me if you have not yet mounted the like button. It's also a good time to remind people that I am completely funded by you. So if you're not a supporter on my Discord or a supporter on my Substack, I hope you'll consider sending in a super chat, picking up some merch in the merch store, or maybe I'll get you over to the Substack today. But super chats do fund the work I'm doing, so I will accept all super chats with graciousness and thanks. I appreciate that. But the number one thing you should do is sign up as a supporter on my Substack. That's really what I want everyone to do. But maybe if you're not quite there yet, that's all right too.
Law, and we exploited this this status under international law to actually start campaign to stop the cooperation.
Su Bologna, dopo una lunga ricerca che è stata poi pubblicata dagli studenti e varie proteste in occasione del Senato accademico, non abbiamo ottenuto dei risultati dichiarati dalle istituzioni accademiche. Questo potrebbe sembrare una sconfitta, ma questi accordi, che andavano avanti da oltre 10 anni, non sono stati rinnovati. Perché le istituzioni accademiche non vengono a dirci che noi abbiamo vinto, anche quando vinciamo. E abbiamo tenuto lontani dalla nostra università gli aerei.
Wait, Casmar, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships over on YouTube. Let's see, Everyday Therapist got a membership. 2 ladies, Sandy, Tom, Lone Wolf. Excellent. Thank you, Casmar. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for signing up on the Substack, One Chance Fancy. We'll look forward to getting to know you a little bit better. As a reminder, we do have movie night tomorrow at 8 p.m. We are watching Superman, the original, not the remake. Yeah, but I understand. Like, the Italian section of this is a struggle, but we'll get through it and we'll get to the Q&A and there'll probably be some good stuff there.
Di guerra israeliani e il Khanzir Ben Gvir.
So students at the University of Bologna, the first one that we referred to, at the University of Bologna, students researched for over 6 months on the cooperation with Israeli universities, and they prepared a whole booklet with information on the cooperation that was published and was made public. And they organized several protests in front of the academic senate. But they didn't really reach any clear victory. At least this is what it would seem. But the reality is that after a while, these agreements with Israeli universities.
Why are we watching Superman in the Discord? Because we do movie night every Sunday at 8 p.m. And June is Jennifer, who hosts our movie night, has dubbed June Blockbuster Month. So we're going back and we're watching some old blockbusters. And I think we're doing Superman. I think she wants to do Jurassic Park. I think a couple other movies I forget. If people remember the movies Jennifer wants to watch, put them in the chat. But it's Blockbuster Movie Month in my Discord. Why not watch Superman? Okay? What do you got against Superman? What do you got against Christopher Reeves? What's your problem, bro?
Were not renewed, even if they were going on for over 10 years, and the
Eastern time.
And of course, the university administration would never admit that this was because of the pressure that was put on them by the students, but they ended up not renewing these accords. And by doing so, they were able to prevent American warplanes to stay away from, to enter the university, and also to have the Khanzir Ben Gvir at the university.
Tutto ciò è stato possibile grazie ad una mobilitazione che non è stata di massa, ma che comunque è riuscita a vincere. Questo lo dico perché magari abbiamo degli esempi di città che hanno un movimento forte, e invece di altre città in cui questo movimento può sembrare debole per una questione di massa. Bisogna lottare sempre e comunque, perché solo la lotta porta alla vittoria.
So these results were obtained with a mobilization that was not a mass mobilization in these universities. And Dawood wants to make clear that he is referring to the fact that it wasn't a mass mobilization because the situation can differ, according to the conditions on the ground in the different cities. So there might be cities where there is a big movement, and other cities where they don't have big like mass mobilization, and that are smaller. Yet the struggle needs to continue in any situation, because only the struggle, even if it's not a mass struggle, can obtain some results.
Dal 7 di ottobre il nostro principale obiettivo è stato quello di mobilitare le nostre comunità arabe sul territorio e le masse.
Since October 7, our main goal has been mobilizing all our communities, all our Arab communities in the streets and in the cities.
Il nostro obiettivo è stato essere presenti nelle strade, nei posti di lavoro e nei luoghi del sapere.
So our main goal was being present in the streets, in the working spaces, and in the spaces of knowledge production.
Puntualizzo questo perché il nostro punto di forza è stato il non chiuderci in nessuno spazio e in nessuna comfort zone.
And I want to clarify this because our strength has been not remaining in any limited spaces and not remaining in any comfort zone.
Nell'ultimo mese e mezzo abbiamo visto questo movimento studentesco forte e compatto negli Stati Uniti e abbiamo deciso di seguire questa strada.
In the past few months, we have seen the growing of this very strong student movement in the US, and we decided to follow the example of the path that they were showing us.
Il nostro percorso nell'università però parte già da novembre, con le occupazioni delle nostre sedi universitarie. E queste occupazioni chiedevano un boicottaggio accademico totale contro qualsiasi accordo di collaborazione.
So, but however, our involvement and our mobilization in universities started even before the past few months, and since November, actually, we have been occupying our universities and asking for a total boycott of any kind of cooperation, any kind of collaboration with companies in the Zionist entity.
Le università israeliane sono la fucina del pensiero sionista, del razzismo e della mentalità coloniale. E per noi le collaborazioni con l'entità sionista devono finire, punto.
So Israeli universities are the core of the elaboration of the Zionist ideologies, their racism and their colonial mentality.
Oh!
So for us,
wait. The universities, did they just say that you have to sign up as a member of my Substack to get to the Discord? The universities are the perpetuators of the Zionist mentality, which is about racism and colonialism. I know that it's hard to understand, but like they just said that, right? The universities are the elaboration of Zionist ideologies like racism and colonialism. Racism and colonialism, of course, mean capitalism. Did you guys catch that? Even in Italy.
So Israeli universities are the core of the elaboration of the Zionist ideologies, their racism and their colonial mentality. So for us, cooperation with them has to end, and full stop. We can have...
Le nostre Le nostre occupazioni sono continuate fino al periodo di febbraio, nel quale abbiamo iniziato ad occupare direttamente i rettorati delle università e gli uffici dei rettori delle università.
So our mobilization continued until February, when we actually decided to occupy directly the rectorate and the offices of basically the chancellor, what would be the chancellor in the US.
L'intifada studentesca in Italia ha avuto una partecipazione forte da parte delle nostre comunità, che ci hanno dato un supporto logistico, e da parte dei lavoratori.
So our mobilization has been very strong, and it has been strong also because we had the support of our communities and the workers.
All'interno di questi encampment noi abbiamo portato avanti la cultura di resistenza, la cultura rivoluzionaria palestinese.
Within the encampment, we brought in the revolutionary culture and the resistance culture of the Palestinian people.
E questo lo dico perché in una di queste occasioni un presidio di lavoratori che stavano lottando per le loro condizioni salariali è venuto a dare sostegno al nostro encampment dopo un loro presidio. Il giorno dopo questi lavoratori hanno ottenuto l'aumento salariale.
Yo, for real.
E quindi hanno scritto tramite il loro sindacato che loro sarebbero tornati a lavorare. Però c'era una postilla a questo. La postilla era: noi non sposteremo nessuna merce.
He's trying so hard to be like so emphatic, but I just can't take him seriously because he's speaking in Italian. What receipts would something have to blame universities for Zionism? Data, we watched a zine on the channel probably about a month ago that I'm going to be putting up on the Substack. We do actually have receipts for this. But ultimately, like, so what, like, so a lot of the universities fund stuff that's going on in Israel. A lot of the universities fund the Israeli army, the Israeli Defense Force. And so that would honestly be the receipt. This is why the major demand of the protesters on universities is divestment. Divestment just means taking money away from Israel. Stop investing money in Israel. And the universities are saying, no, we aren't going to divest from Israel, because that means the universities are funding Israel.
Merce israeliana che viene da Israele o che va verso Israele.
So I really want to emphasize the support of the community and the workers, and I want to give, because it has been fundamental for our encampments, and I just want to give you one example of the last events that happened. So we were having rally and a sit-in protesting at the universities, and there was a group of workers that was mobilizing for their own rights, and they were asking for a raise in their salaries and were protesting for that. At the end of their protest, they joined the encampment. They joined they joined the encampment. They joined the encampment, and they joined our protest. The day after, they were given the raise of salary that they were asking for, but they made the union right that they would therefore stop their protest. They would go back to work since they achieved their objective of having a raise in their salary. However, they made them writing down in the agreement that they would not move any product or any shipment that was coming or going into Israel, and that was part of the program.
Questo Questo può essere paragonato a quello che stanno facendo i nostri fratelli yemeniti nel Mar Rosso ogni giorno.
This can be compared to the effort that our brothers in Yemen are doing every day in the Red Sea.
Oh, Yemen. Okay.
Last thing, ok? Queste mobilitazioni in questi mesi ci hanno portato delle grandi piccole
I
vittorie
appreciate that, Daniel.
che hanno
Thank
dimostrato
you.
che le necessità della gente e la rabbia popolare possono vincere. Le notizie della giornata di ieri e le conquiste della nostra resistenza, se rapportate al genocidio in corso davanti ad occhi ingenui, possono sembrare piccole cose, ma sono un passo avanti sulla strada verso la liberazione.
What is it? Okay, so this mobilization in the past few months brought us some small and big victories, and they showed us that the needs and the anger of the people can actually win. The news that we received yesterday and the achievement of our resistance might seem small if compared to the genocide that we are witnessing. However, they are a step towards liberation. And this has been possible only because of the support of the people and the support.
Actually, a nice little break from the Italian monologue is the reason the commies ruining modern comics is because the heroes represent capitalism. Is Kino Reviews here? So we've actually done happy hour episodes about this. We've actually watched like queering comic books and stuff like that for happy hour. And yeah, basically, yes. I mean, it's also to introduce like queer characters to the world. To what they're really trying to do is they're trying to normalize queer or non-binary, which again means non-binary means no binary. The goal of queer Marxism is to abolish the gender binary, which means men and women. They don't want that to exist. And so in order to abolish the gender binary, men and women, the patriarchy is another name for that, they have to introduce examples of non-binary characters into the world. And so you'll have like, wasn't it like Robin in Batman is now non-binary or something like that? Because they have all these like fucking queer Marxists that are now creating comic books and writing for comic books and illustrating for comic books and stuff like that. And they're introducing these ideas through pop culture into the masses to give people basically a roadmap to follow. But we have actually watched specific trainings about that sort of thing. And if you come back on a different day, I don't think he's here right now, but Kino Reviews is a member of my channel and he's way into this stuff and he knows all about it. So I would recommend coming back on a different day and we'll connect you with Kino Reviews and he should be able to tell you all about that. I don't know that much about comic books. I never read comic books growing up, so I don't know. Oh, hang on. I got a super chat from Rottweiler. Thank you, Rottweiler. Commies hate anime more. A lot of mainstream anime heroes form nuclear families and have kids. Just a little FYI. I don't know how to say those. But thank you, Rottweiler. I appreciate it. Well, I guess Robin is a non-binary name, but, you know. Carlin is also a non-binary name, by the way. Carlin is a man's name in Ireland. Like, and I know that because I know people from Ireland that have Irish ancestry that are named Carlin. So, really, can't anything be a non-binary? In Ireland, Carlin is actually a primarily a man's name. A kid I went to school with named his son Carlin. That confused the hell out of me. I was like, what the fuck? Nope.
Unity of all the different factions of our resistance.
La nostra resistenza è il nostro esempio.
We take the lead from our resistance. Our resistance is our example.
Thank you, Dawood. Thank you, Mariam. We will now pass it on, last but not least, to Ghaid, who's joining us again from Ramallah. أهلا وسهلا
I
Ghaid.
didn't know that. Fun fact.
شكرا لإلك.
No more Italian.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank you all for attending and organizing. This is truly inspiring, your energy and everything. So today I'm gonna start by speaking about the student movement at Bir Zayed. As students in the occupied West Bank, we confront the harsh reality of ceaseless rights violations every minute in every aspect of our lives. This environment has profoundly shaped the student movement at Bir Zayed since the 1970s. Our educational experience is unlike any other worldwide, and the reality of education under occupation has given rise to a student movement that has maintained a crucial and effective political role for years, a pioneering force in the struggle for national liberation, always ready to sacrifice and bear the cost. The student engagement includes practical learning gained through organizing and participating in student activities. The student movement has always fought to preserve student rights. And given the national political context, a majority of the student groups are politicized, serving as extensions of national Palestinian political factions. And the organizing within the university is facilitated through the student council through direct democratic elections. Students play a very important role beyond campus boundaries. Through organized union activism, students collaborate with the student council and various grassroots initiatives to advocate for Palestinians' liberation, social justice, and political change. Student organizing has always been difficult, facing various obstacles and threats. And as the student movement in Bir Zayed grew stronger and more influential, nurturing prominent political leaders, activists, and academics, more Israeli violations followed. It's important to illustrate that within our reality, student organizing penetrates every single aspect of a student life. The attempt to reach the university and partake in the academic process itself became a form of organizing and resistance, as Bir Zayed was closed by the Israeli occupation forces like 15 times, with the longest being for 4.5 years during the first Intifada. But despite all of this, the student movement always stood in defiance of the occupation. In the years following, the student movement became tightly controlled, and even more so after the Oslo Accords. Setbacks followed, and recent struggles have included facing attempts of the Palestinian Authority to control and undermine the student movement. As the Israeli occupation criminalized student movements, arresting dozens every year, the PA also detained students for their political activism. However, students continued mobilizing and organizing protests inside and outside of the university, taking part in boycott campaigns and mobilizing the Palestinian street towards confrontation with the occupation as a reinforcement of the model of the engaging intellectual that was restored and reinforced by Martyr Passer al-Araj.
Did she just say that the students in Palestine are trying to provoke a confrontation with like the Israelis, with the occupation? Did I misunderstand that? It's because it's kind of like what the college students are doing, and that the college students are trying to provoke a confrontation with the police. Did she just say that they're trying to provoke a confrontation with the occupation? Hang on. I'm going to go back a little bit.
As the Israeli occupation criminalized student movements, arresting dozens every year, the PA also detained students for their political activism. However, students continued mobilizing and organizing protests inside and outside of the university, taking part in boycott campaigns and mobilizing the Palestinian street towards confrontation with the occupation as a reinforcement of the model of the engaging intellectual that was restored and reinforced by Martyr Passer al-Araj. Going to October 7th, and even in the months before October 7th, Israeli forces had already initiated various arrest campaigns targeting.
Hang on, they want violence, and I think this is Tiff from Rumble. Tiff from Rumble has now made her way over to YouTube. I apologize, I can't display the Rumble chats on the screen. I wish I could. it's not necessarily that they want violence for the sake of violence. They want violence because it will allow them to further their agenda and further their political aims. So what they want, what they ultimately want, is for their political aims to be achieved. But this is not just like a casual want. Like I might say, you know what, it would be really nice if I could go on a vacation. I really want, and I've been thinking a lot about going to Antarctica lately for some reason. This is just like a weird side note. I've been thinking a lot lately about going to Antarctica for real, like doing a whole like Antarctic cruise where I go to like the Falkland Islands and like South Georgia, and I see all these penguins, and then going through the Drake Passage to go to Antarctica. But like, that's kind of like a casual want. It's kind of like, you know, it would be really cool to go to Antarctica, and like, I think that'd be a pretty cool experience. Like, but I'm not like, my whole life is not going to be built around taking an Antarctic cruise, okay? It's a casual want. It's not something I'm really sincerely invested in. It's just like, if I could do that, that would be cool. The reason I say that is to provide some contrast, because when I say they want to achieve their political aims above all else, it's not just like a casual kind of thing. It's not just like, if I could do that, that would be really cool. It's everything that I stand for, every part of my identity, every single thing that I believe, everything is about achieving these political aims. This is central to who they are. So it's not like they don't want violence for the sake of violence. They want violence because it is the easiest way to advance their political aims. And their political aims are central to their identity. Does that make sense?
Students, organizers, and activists, and especially members of the student council. And in addition to raids on the university campus, confiscating students' belongings, flags, books, any other resources used by students. And by October 7th, the student movement at Birzeit had already lost many of its prominent leaders and organizers, including the student council president, which severely impacted the effectiveness of the organizing. Despite of these setbacks, the student movement immediately engaged in mobilizing efforts to stand against the Israeli aggression and genocide in Gaza, which was entirely outside of the university campus, in the streets. The student movement, along with other youth movements, attempted to create a broad and effective state of popular resistance against the occupation. But as Israel escalated in the West Bank, and we had like more than 10,000 Palestinian men, women, and children detained and placed in administrative detention without charge or trial, we still currently have over or about 150 students from Birzeit still detained in Israeli prisons. And all these policies pursued by Israel and the West Bank aim to eradicate any possible united popular resistance movement that would pressure Israel and effectively support and aid our people in Gaza. From imposed closures, checkpoints dividing cities and towns, daily raids, increased settler and military violence, field executions, even airstrikes, destruction of infrastructure in Tulkarm and Jenin. All of this, in addition to the PA policies, caused a real decline in the movement, or at least did not allow it to reach the level that was required by the context in the light of the genocidal war. For months, we couldn't move between cities, we couldn't reach the university, and turning to online learning eliminated any possibility of student organizing in unity. The student movement still attempted to organize daily protests and create a state of confrontation with the Israeli occupation, but it was not able to mobilize student bodies or maintain attendance and the effectiveness of its programs to the extent that it should have or had previously been able to. But despite all of this, student organizing did not halt. The student movement fought to preserve its presence and continue to participate in the collective struggle for liberation. Students continued to orchestrate movements, protests, campaigns, to hold Israeli accountable for its crimes and violations, also challenging the enablers of Israeli genocidal policies and those complicit with its settler colonial project. as the student movement frequently organized protests against the visits of US officials and in front of embassies like Canada and Germany. And the last month, we kicked the German ambassador out of the university. Many students...
Wow, okay.
Many student groups were also formed to document, research, raise awareness, and participate with everything they can in the international movement. In the beginning of May, we also launched the Popular University for Gaza, or the Martyrs University for Gaza in Bir Zayt, which is set to be a long-term joint campaign between the students and the university with all its components. We worked on creating a free open space for daily student activities, lectures, and discussion groups. This campaign aims to support first the students in Gaza facing the genocide and the eduside, and the broader global student intifada, as we view this intifada as a very important and strong form of solidarity movement that captures the very essence of politics, as Layan Kayed, currently prisoner in the Israeli occupation, present. Active politics mean the active participation of individuals and groups in issues that impact them and others, and the mobilization of their efforts to address these issues. Such engagement unites and reclaims the public political space, ensuring that politics remain a collective endeavor for justice and liberation. If this spirit of protest and movement takes root and expands, it will carry considerable weight and trigger a strategic and quantitative shift in the struggle for justice and liberation. The student movement, with its increased connectedness and shared tactics, is demonstrating the power of young voices in making history and shaping the future. It underscores the potential of university students and young people to reclaim the public political space, which has been dismantled over the past decades. Today, Gaza and Palestine serve as a meeting place for many of the world's youth, posing the question of morality and rekindling the idea that human values are shared. This awakening demonstrates that preservation of these values can only be achieved through an active political space where people are engaged, united, and connected. The era of individualism, marked by disconnection and political apathy, can be overcome by people reclaiming political space, just as we do right now.
Wait,
and
what?
discovering...
Hang on, did you guys hear that? The era of individualism can be overcome by people claiming the political space. What does that mean? Let's go back. The era of individualism can be overcome by people reclaiming the political space. Why would she say that? What's wrong with individualism? Individualism can be overcome. Bring in socialism. That means collectivism. Individualism and meritocracy uphold capitalism, which is private property ownership. The opposite of individualism is collectivism. Individualism means capitalism. Individualism is the opposite of collectivist. Exactly. Advocating for collectivism via socialism, that the collective can defeat the individual. Yeah, individualism is freedom. Exactly. Let's listen again.
Palestine serve as a meeting place for many of the world's youth, posing the question of morality and rekindling the idea that human values are shared. This awakening demonstrates that preservation of these values can only be achieved through an active political space where people are engaged, united, and connected. The era of individualism, marked by disconnection and political apathy, can be over.
The era of individualism, marked by disconnection and political apathy, can be overcome. They believe that to be an individualist is to be disconnected from the collective. Do you guys see this? See, these are the golden nuggets that we wait for right here. Again.
achieved through an active political space where people are engaged, united, and connected. The era of individualism, marked by disconnection and political apathy, can be overcome by people reclaiming political space, just as we do right now, and discovering common values. The slogan "Gaza liberates us" captures this deeper meaning.
The slogan "Gaza liberates us" captures this deeper meaning. They're literally saying that liberation in Gaza from the evil settler colonist that is Israel, liberation in Gaza is akin to liberation from the individual. Do you guys get that? This is not about the Jews versus the Arabs. This is not about the Israelis versus the Palestinians. This is about the bourgeois versus the proletariat. This is about the individualist versus the collectivist. It's about the capitalist versus the oppressed. Does everyone understand? We are not free until everyone is free. Let's listen again.
Demonstrates that preservation of these values can only be achieved through an active political space where people are engaged, united, and connected. The era of individualism, marked by disconnection and political apathy, can be overcome by people reclaiming political space, just as we do right now, and discovering common values. The slogan "Gaza liberates us" captures this deeper meaning. The disconnectedness of the student movement, as we see developed of shared tactics, has profound significance in the struggle for liberation. This connectivity symbolizes a unified front against systematic oppression and demonstrates the power of collective action.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? This presents a systematic front, a front against systematic oppression, that means capitalism, and demonstrates the power of collective action. This just keeps getting better and better. She just keeps saying the quiet thing out loud over and over and over and over again. Again, sorry.
The disconnectedness of the student movement, as we see developed of shared tactics, has profound significance in the struggle for liberation. This connectivity symbolizes a unified front against systematic oppression and demonstrates the power of collective action. The sense of an immediate community of struggle in all parts of the world is defining feature of this new internationalism. It allows for coordinated and strategic actions that are far.
New internationalism? What do we think new internationalism means? This collective struggle is the new symbol of, is the symbol of the new internationalism. What do we think that means? Pop quiz for the chat. What does new internationalism mean? New internationalism means intifada. There we go. New internationalism means intifada, the worldwide socialist revolution. Oh, this is a good goal. My goal right now is to say Karlin Borisenko and Socialism Saturday to at least 2 people a week. Hey, I appreciate that. Could everyone make it their goal to get more people here? Guys, this is the only way my channel is going to grow, by the way. I am shadow banned massively on YouTube. Every once in a while, I'm able to break out of that shadow ban. But if you guys can help spread the word, I would really appreciate it. New internationalism means communism worldwide. It means socialism worldwide. It means intifada, the worldwide socialist revolution.
More impactful than isolated efforts. For the student movement in the diaspora and in Palestine to continue toward building a more cohesive front, it is essential to leverage this sense of unity and shared purpose. This increased connectedness also facilitates the circulation of critical information and resources, which are essential in sustaining long-term activism. Creating platforms for communication and collaboration is crucial. Conferences like this, regular assemblies, joint campaigns, and commitment to horizontal coordinations. This is all necessary to ensure that these strategies and tactics are effectively shared and adapted to all local.
I think everyone should make it their goal. Can I ask you guys something? Can I ask you a personal favor? I think that everyone should make it their goal to mention me and my videos and my work in Tim Pool's replies at least once a day. Just one, just like, Tim, why aren't you listening to Carlin? If everyone can do that, first of all, it would really piss off Tim Pool, which would make me very happy. But it's actually not about getting to Tim, because I'm not going to go on Tim's show. Tim can eat a dick. I don't really care. But like, there's a lot of people in Tim Pool's replies that look at that stuff that would be open to this. And I think it could be a really fertile ground. So I'm just saying, if I were to give you guys a suggestion, now, I always think the best thing to do is exactly what you're doing. Talk to your friends, say, hey, I want to show you this stream. Can you come to this stream? Like, can you just look at what's being shown? Like, that's a really good way to do it, to introduce people. I'm not trying to diminish that. But if you're on Twitter, like once a day, just mention me in Tim Pool's replies. Like, share some of the stuff I'm sharing. That would be really great. We've been going after James Lindsay for a minute, and we're still going to go after him. Don't worry. But just create a new account, bro. You don't have to put up with that shit. Just create a new account. You told your straight boyfriend about me, John? Well, that's good at least. Okay, let's keep going.
Contexts. The student movement at Bir Zayt has come to realize through years that any form of surrender, breakdown, retreat, or fear in the face of oppression and occupation leads to dire consequences. We have constantly witnessed persecution, killing, destruction, and imprisonment. However, we understand that the most vital aspect of the student movement is continuity. There should always be a relentless pursuit of our role as students in society and in the context of liberation. No matter the conditions and the pressure, our role is to always continue loud and strong and united to build a path for change and liberation, especially now in the face of genocide. As we see US crackdowns on protesters mirroring Israeli tactics and the oppression of Palestinians, the continuity of the student movement is vital to protect the student protesters themselves, especially now as there's a discourse in the US that openly calls for the police to brutalize students and exterminate the encampments and the movements at all costs. There's no going back now. Any retreats gives room for the US government and the Zionist group to destroy the impact of this movement and take revenge on the students. We understand the difficulty and the challenges. Over the years and since October 7th, we have lost hundreds of students, martyrs and prisoners. But the student movement always found a way to proceed. Actually, today I'm wearing...
No. I would not go on Andrew Wilson's show. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Andrew Wilson and his wife, I don't like. Andrew Wilson's an asshole. And Andrew Wilson has been quite a dick to people that I like. And I am on their side on this one. I will not talk to Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson can eat several varieties of dick, so far as I'm concerned. I appreciate the suggestion. I really do. It's not your fault. But I will not. No.
This t-shirt in a memory of a classmate and a friend, Aysar Safi, who was killed on May 15th.
Here's what the t-shirt means. Friend that was killed.
He was killed on May 15th by an Israeli soldier as the student movement organized a demonstration in the memory of the Nakba. Aysar was fully aware of the gravity and the dangers and the threats accompanied by activism. His brother and his father have also been detained in Israeli prisons for months. His brother even before October 7th, and they are still in prison and they didn't get to say goodbye to him. He knew the risks, but he fully understood how his role and his responsibility and did not hesitate to answer the call for Gaza. Ayser is a symbol and an inspiration for the student movement in this particular time. He believed that the march of the student movement will always continue, and acts of oppression and terror will never deter it. We need to always remember our position in the struggle and our role and shared responsibility in fighting the extermination in Gaza. The experience of the Palestinian people in over the past 100 years of conflict clearly reveals that the path to justice, liberation, and self-determination is fraught with sacrifices, and there is no way to achieve it except by crushing the Israeli killing machine facing us and cutting off the air to every institution funding it. Today, as more than 40,000 Palestinians are sleeping in mass graves and under rubble, 9,000 more in prisons, more than 1.5 million in tents, and tens of thousands without food, drink, shelter, or any hope, we need to continue and escalate in every direction. We must combat the ecocide in Gaza, where the systematic destruction of educational institutions and the denial of the right to education are being used as weapons of war. This struggle is not just about physical survival, but also about preserving our intellectual heritage and identity. There's an imminent need for organized...
Why do you hate me? Do I have to? I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think this is the right platform for my content. I don't think this is the best way for my content to get taken seriously. I'm fine with shitting on Pearl for fun. But I don't think this is a good idea. This is not where you go if you want to be taken seriously for very deeply important and impactful work that you're doing and have been doing for... You don't go to fucking Pearl. I don't wish Pearl ill or anything. I don't think Pearl's a bad person. Pearl was very nice to Heidi the other day, and I adore Heidi, and Pearl is obviously about to enter a forbidden lesbian internet romance with Heidi, and I'm very supportive of this. I think they're both great. I just don't think that Pearl is the best person for me to discuss my work with, is all.
And strategic responses to protect and rebuild these educational institutions and support these students. As Palestinians and allies, we need to continue organizing and fighting on every front, in the campuses, in the streets, and on the battlegrounds of academia, law, media, and every other front. The continuation, accumulation, and diversity of the confrontations are the only way to pressure the United States and the Israeli occupation to halt this extermination. Our path is challenging and difficult, but we must march forward and defy every obstacle. Either we fight the battle together as united free people, or we are slaughtered individually under the fangs of the oppressive system of tyranny and injustice. And just to read what I wrote here, the march of the student movement continues. No acts of oppression will ever deter it. Thank you.
Are they not going to do a Q&A? Yo, there might not be a Q&A. Oh my God, it's almost been an hour and a half. What the fuck? All I wanted was a Q&A. Unfair. Free Palestine. Student-led revolution. Student-led revolution. I want a Q&A. Come on.
Thank you, Ghaid. Thank you, Ghaid. Glory to all our martyrs, glory to Aysar. And we will continue the struggle forward as students, as organizers, as people dedicated to liberation. Glory to him. إحنا نواصل الكفاح. And freedom to Layan al-Qaid and all the other students who the Israeli government has targeted for their work. We are unfortunately at time, and it pains me to wrap up. I would like to thank all our panelists for being here today, and thank you for the work that you've done and you'll continue to do. Because after this conference, we'll be back in the streets. After the summer, we'll be back on campus, and our work does not stop, right?
After this conference, we'll be back in the streets. After this summer, we'll be back on campus. Who really thought that the protests were going to stop just because the cops tore down the encampments? I don't think anyone in my audience thought that. I didn't think that. Here we are.
Thank you all.
That's it.
One, we are the students.
More chants.
3, stop the funding now, 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 now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Two, we won't be silenced. 3, stop the funding now, 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 now. 1, we are the students. 2, we won't be silenced. 3, stop the funding now, now, now,
Okay, before
now.
I lose everyone in the back, really quickly, we have a letter from the student movement in Gaza who have lost all of their universities and who have watched clips of this conference through Instagram and YouTube. رسالتي لكل الأصدقاء المشاركين في المؤتمر. دموعكم غالية علينا.
I'm going to get a red one of those just to wear on my streams just to piss people off.
هذا العطاء وهذا التضامن والمساندة لنا لم ولن ننساه في حياتنا. أشكركم لصدق مشاعركم وإخلاصكم. سلامي وسلام شعب فلسطين لكل المشاركين في مؤتمركم هذا. نحن نشكركم ونتابع كل خطواتكم الاحتجاجية والتضامنية لوقف الإبادة الجماعية التي
No
نتعرض
Daily Wire
لها
ever.
من قبل
Wait,
الاحتلال
not that one.
الصهيوني
No Daily Wire
الغاشم.
ever.
مزيدا.
God, I don't care about hearing this letter. Does anyone really want to hear this letter? I don't want to hear her talk in Arabic. We're done. That's all. All right, we made it through another episode of Socialism Saturday. Yay! I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. As a reminder, we do Socialism Saturday every Saturday at 6 p.m. Now, tomorrow I usually, programming note, Sundays I usually take off. But tomorrow I will be streaming. Aha. Tomorrow I will be streaming at 5 p.m. with my friend DL Cummings. And we're going to be talking about the Libertarian Convention. And DL is involved with the Libertarians in Florida. He's a really good guy. And DL is going to give us his thoughts about the Libertarian Convention. I'm going to give my thoughts about the Libertarian Convention. We're going to be doing libertarian politics tomorrow. Yes, we are. Because I just can't get enough complaining about this. Because this is some bullshit. And DL has been fighting with Josie, the redheaded MAGA grifter, all week on Twitter. Yup, DL is a good dude. He really is. He's a really good guy. You guys are going to like him. He's very even-keeled and just chill. And he's got a good level head on his shoulders. And DL, who normally got along with the Mises Caucus, just like me, DL Cummings normally got along with the Mises Caucus, actually represented Karen Ann Harlos at one point. DL is basically like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What are you assholes doing? And so DL is going to come on the channel and talk tomorrow at 5 p.m. Chris, you probably know DL then because he's in Florida. And we're going to have a little chat. So that's going to be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do that. And then, of course, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a movie night in the supporter Discord. And that is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. How do you get invited to the supporter Discord, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. You head over to the Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. And you get signed up for a supporter membership of $8 a month or $80 a year. Tomorrow, I will be sending out an email newsletter with the link to the supporter Discord, and you can come and join us for movie night. That's how you're going to get invited there. If you're on Locals, I will be sending that out through Locals, and that'll be pretty great. But guys, the most important thing is this. We are on the precipice of the discount code for the Unwoke Art Store running out. The discount code for the Unwoke Art Store is good for about another 2 hours and 20 minutes. And this discount code isn't something I've ever done before, and it's going to be the last time this happens for a while. And that is for 25% off literally everything in the Unwoke Art Store, to include the brand new Trump American Gangster collection, to include the brand new Golden Trump mug. For 2.5 more hours, use the promo code REDMAY, REDMAY. And if you buy more than $100 worth of merchandise in my store, you will get 25% off your entire order. That means you could conceivably get the Golden Trunk mug for free. And these make great gifts, and people love them. We also have the Unwoke Wiki Plague Doctor t-shirt that is about to come out of the store. This is another limited edition. We've got the zine collection of all this cool shit. This looks like out of a music store back in the 90s. We've got the 4 goals of the woke left. We've got the Communism is All Around You series. We've got the Dystopian series, which is my take on dystopian movie posters. We've got all this stuff. We've got the classic, the iconic Socialists Are Gay. We've got the iconic Real Marxism. This is one of my favorite designs ever. Real Marxism. Looks really great on a t-shirt. We've got the We're All Mad Here Alice in Wonderland design. We got the Be Different design. We've got the Be Bourgeois design. We've got the Follow the White Rabbit design. There's so much shit in my store. I'm going to be reducing dramatically the amount of merch in my store. And if you want to get in on that for a couple more hours, 25% off everything in the store, as long as you buy over $100 or more. Use the promo code REDMAY, REDMAY, and that promo code expires at midnight Eastern time. So get those orders in, guys. I really do appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. for a chat with DL Cummings, and we'll see you tomorrow for movie night in the Discord. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you soon. Bye.